Yeah, right.
Whoa, this ain't going.
See down the side. And
But I appreciate everybody on the chat tonight for your comments. Good evening, everybody. It looks like tonight it's just going to be Melissa, myself, and Mr. Lee there.
We kicked Ricky out.
Yeah,
We kicked him off his own channel.
well, we had a little discussion, I think, before the live, and we was kind of weighing the pros and the cons, and we ended up taking a vote, and it just didn't.
He got voted off. Yep.
We just felt like it wasn't going to work out well for him on his own channel, you know.
No.
So we said, yeah, you know what? I feel like we're going a different direction now, you know.
Now, last I heard, he's doing a cutout. Now, if he has time when he's finished, depending on how long it takes him, he may be able to make it in.
Yeah.
I thought he said he had like a cutout and he had to meet with his mentee or something like that. So yeah,
It may be.
something like that.
He's got a busy day. I know he's been busy all week doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, with working his regular job, working the horizontal bees with building all those and all the orders that I'm sure he has gotten on the recent conferences, particularly the NABI event. And then also, you know, his bees are just like everybody else's now. They're in full swing, it seems like, you know.
Ooh, mine definitely are. At least most of them. I got a couple that still, I ain't going to say they're on the weak side. They're just not quite as fast as the other ones.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how that works, you know, with bees, much just like people, I guess. You know, you get personalities of bees that may be really aggressive in the manner of, you know, maybe aggressive on their attitude, but also aggressive at getting after it, you know, building comb well, storing nectar, pollen, things like that. But you also have some that just always seem like they just kind of lag a little bit, you know. It's kind of like a personality thing, it seems like, you know. It's kind of different.
I got one today. I had to add the 5th super to, and we were talking before the live about I took a sting, and Tom was asking, are our bees down here a little more aggressive than most? I'm not going to say they're real aggressive. I mean, any bee can be, but I just find a lot of the hives in our area, they can get extremely big. I'm not talking just a deep and 1 or 2 mediums. I'm talking 5, 6 mediums, maybe 2 deeps on it. They're pretty tall colonies, so there's a lot of bees in there. And with a bigger population like that, you're going to have more bees in there that are defending that hive versus a smaller hive, smaller colony. So yeah, your chances do go up at taking a sting.
Definitely.
Well, I think some people sometimes they mistake just a full hive. You know, when you get it, you disrupt all those bees, and so they're just flying everywhere. And I think sometimes they confuse that maybe with being aggressive, and they're not necessarily being aggressive. There's just so many of them, and they're just, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
I've had times too opening the hive, and I might squeeze a bee, not realizing when I put my thumb down, and I end up stinging myself. Well, when I sting myself, they release that pheromone. The other ones are thinking, hey, they're attacking, let's go help.
Right.
So yeah, you might take a few more stings that way.
Do you notice that well, you probably can't work your bees too much during the midday, I guess, right?
On weekends, if I'm off, I'm able to.
So, okay, if you're working your bees when you get home in the late afternoon and doing a few things, as opposed to say a Saturday or a Sunday, and you might get in them, let's just say sometime between 9 or 10 and 2 or 3 in the afternoon, do you feel like you notice a big difference in their defensive behavior, or does it just kind of come and go? What are your thoughts there?
I would think the later in the evening that I've noticed they're a little more defensive, but the population is more. All those foragers are starting to come back in that evening time, so
Yeah.
you have more bees in there. Now, if I go in the morning after they've done started flying out, or during the day while they're gone, or while a bunch of them are gone, well, you don't have as many to deal with then, and a lot more you're going to have your nurse bees during those times. In the
Definitely.
evenings, all those grouchy little foragers that've been working all day are mad at the boss, and they got to find somebody to take it out on.
That's a good way to look at it and good way to describe it, I think.
So I have to say, when we were going through our hives making splits at the end of last week and over the weekend, it was super windy.
Yeah.
The bees weren't really flying. The hives are overly packed. And they were not aggressive at all. We had like maybe one that started getting a little testy, but I was really shocked that they weren't just, because everybody was home. And we were like tearing through them because we were knocking down queen cells and making splits. It's not like we were just, pulling a frame and looking at it. We were really getting into them. So I was really surprised with how calm that all those hives were. And I mean, that was a few different yards were like that.
Yeah. Funny about that is too, I feel like I can notice if we have 20 or 25 set up in a yard, I notice that from one end to the other, if like when she was going through one of them, I walked back toward the other side, just down toward the other hives, it might only be 20 feet away. It seemed like that some of those bees that were kind of more aggressively trying to hit my veil a little bit or showing more of an aggressive nature to them, when I just walked that far away, it seemed like it toned down quite a bit. So it's like you can almost dial in which hive is the one that's, I don't want to say causing the problems, but has that more aggressive behavior to them. And the same thing goes for, and kind of we've talked about this before, where when you first open a hive, everybody has a different technique in how they do it. Sometimes if you take the top, maybe you crack whether you're using a migratory cover or migratory lid or a telescoping with the inner cover, you pop it, put a little puff of smoke in there, let it sit for maybe 10, 15 seconds and then pull it off. But I noticed too that sometimes you can always tell that defensive behavior when you first pop the top. Just wave your hand across the top of it and you'll see how many bees fly off at your hand at that quick motion,
Yeah. That's what I kind of experienced today. I didn't bring no smoke with me today. So when I popped the top on one that already had 4 supers, there was a lot of bees coming in this late in the evening. So I wanted to pull a frame out just to see how they were doing. Now, I just put this super on last weekend, I believe it was. And I would say it's about 85 and 90% full now. And they've started doing a little capping.
Wow. So that's less than a week. So what about 5-ish to 6-ish or so days? Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Now, we've had no rain this week and the wind has kicked up and it's been warm. So that nectar is going to dehydrate down a lot faster.
Yeah.
Now, when I went to pull that center frame out, though, when I put that hive tool up there, luckily I had my glove on then because they covered my glove.
No kidding.
But generally, if I put a puff of smoke in there, they go down, and I don't really have much of a problem with them.
Yeah.
Now, that's the hive that I did take the sting in the leg with, but that's after I put the super on and went to walk around front.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it may have been me just getting in the flight path, making somebody mad, and they let me know it.
Yeah, that's right. The way that we have our set up on a stand that's about 10 feet long or so, I usually get about five colonies on each one. So mine don't have a large separation between them. And when we're working them, especially if it's not an end one. So that's the downfall to having hives, that many hives on a stand. I would say ideally, if somebody was going to set up some hive stands, set up a hive stand that'll hold 2 hives. And then, move down and another 2 hives. That way, any vibrations that you're causing in the one hive when you're moving stuff around doesn't transfer to multiple hives for one, but also you can now work for the back or the side. So if her and I are going through a colony together, trying to, divide and conquer here, a lot of times I'll stand in the front, she'll stand in the back, And
when we're working like hives together at the same time,
Right.
until we get irritated with each other, and then he goes to his end and I go to mine.
Hey, go the both
Get
ends
this-
way. Huh?
tired of her barking at me. I'm just like, you know what? You deal with your own. Don't call me for help. You need to lift something. You're on your own. I'm going down here and I'm going to work these guys how I want to do it. And that's just that.
Now you talking about as far as the bees, how far apart they are. Well, really all of my yards. My first hive stand I built, it was out of 2x6s and some 4x4s, and I believe it's 8 foot long.
Mhm.
And then the second one was 10 foot out of just 4x4s and the cinder blocks. Everything I do now is 12 foot.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. This one here, I was able to fit 4 here, but down on the end, that longer one, I can fit 5 across there.
Oh, okay. And that's a 12-footer, you said?
Yeah, on the end.
I just sent you in the Dropbox a couple pictures of our hives, a couple of our stands.
So on your 12-footer, I'm guessing you've got a separation of what, maybe 1.5 feet or so?
Depending if I put 5 or 6 on there, it could be a foot, it could be 6 inches.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really measured exactly. I just kind of put them all across there evenly.
Yeah, and we do the same thing. We're not super concerned with it. We mostly treat most of those yards as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
just generally speaking. Yeah, that one there would be a 10-foot. That's a 2x6 frame that goes around the outside, and right where you can see on the right-hand side where the couple little bricks are at. Yeah, I level them off, and I'm pretty meticulous about that.
Mm.
I just use whatever extra caps or stone we have left over from a job, and that's what I throw out there. But right underneath where those caps are, I put another cross member that goes in there. So I have 2x6 framework that goes all the way around 360. And then I've got 2 cross members that go not in the middle, but kind of, they come in a couple feet from each side just to help stabilize it a little bit. And then you can see there's a 2x4 that's laying flat ways on the top. You just see the top edge of it there. But I've started using some of that. It was a little bit cheaper, using like a 5/4 board, which is basically like a cheap decking. It's a true 1-inch piece. Put that on top, and that makes it easy where you've got kind of like that hive stand set up there where you can actually have not that it's specifically ventilation, but things can drop through there. Or there's a slight bit of airflow through there, I guess. That seems to work out just fine. I've never really noticed any problems for them, and they're really strong, and they'll actually hold. They'll hold quite a bit of weight. So if we put multiple supers up there on all those hives, I don't have any problem with that stuff moving around on me. So it's worked pretty well for us, I guess.
Is that yours, Lee?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the main reason I went to doing the 4x4 and cinder blocks, if I build a big frame or anything, and majority of the time I work the bees by myself, I don't have nobody that helps me. So if I have to move something, I'm unable to move that entire stand by myself if it's completely put together.
Yeah.
Versus like this, it's kind of modular. I just pop 4x4s out, move whatever I need to move then.
Yeah. I like how you did the center too. You supported that really well in 2
Yeah.
different spots, so when you have 4 or 5 colonies on there and you throw, let's just say 4 or 5 supers on potentially each one of those, there's a lot of weight sitting there on those 4x4s. So, you would get some sag in there otherwise.
We actually had a stand in one of our yards that we had purchased from somebody who was getting out of beekeeping, and you had to throw some stones underneath it to prop it back up because it was starting to bow in the middle.
Yeah, they weren't built the best, but they were really cheap, and I couldn't pass them up, so we utilized them. I don't think the bees usually care.
I'm trying to keep up with these comments at the same time, so I'm trying to run through here.
Does anybody have any questions on there that they wanted answered, Lee?
That's what I'm trying to look for.
I haven't noticed any. I've been trying to keep track of them too.
David said he put 7 on a 12-foot stand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's probably got them pushed up pretty close together then.
So
The only reason I want room between them, I have just enough room generally to take my lid off and slide it down between them.
yeah.
Now, I've had times where I've taken it off and just set it on the hive next to it.
Sure.
So I have to say I like 2 on a stand, or like almost like a 4-way pallet, but like on a stand, because the twisting, when they're that close together, you really have to twist when you pull frames up, and it really starts bothering my back by the end of a first yard or something like that, especially when we have to go through multiple yards. So I hate the twisting. So yeah, if we could redesign ours and whatnot, that would
Well,
be
we just wouldn't have to make
good.
them a little bit shorter, and I would then have to level off with blocks or bricks,
Mhm.
each one on a 2 foot or on just a 2 hive stand, multiple ones as opposed to just doing 4 or 5 in the
Right.
yard. I have to do, you know.
What I
It's-
generally do as far as leveling mine, I'll lay the bricks down and lay the 4x4 directly on my bottom brick and just throw a level on it. And I will actually dig the ground out with a flat shovel
Yeah.
and get it as close as I can. And then once I start stacking my bricks up, if one's a little bit off, I have the paint stirrer sticks.
Oh, okay.
But I coat them with a good primer and cut them into pieces. That way, if I got a wedge or something under there. Now, the front of my stands, I do try to tilt them to where the
Mhm.
front is about a 1/2 inch or so, maybe 3/4 of an inch lower than the back.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
way, if rain blows up in there, it'll drain back out.
Now, are you using solid bottom boards or screen?
I use all solids.
Yeah. See, that makes
They got a
perfect-
few people down here, they prefer the screen bottom boards because they say with our humidity and our heat, the bees get overheated. I hadn't found too much problem with that myself.
Yeah.
Now I do run a entrance reducer year round. During
Yeah,
the
you sure did
summer,
that, so.
during the summer I open it up to the widest side, but during the winter I'll flip it over just for that small entrance.
Yeah.
And I really had no problem with them. Now I do get a little beard in there every now and then, but they can
We-
come
we
out and
kinda-
get some air if they want it.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing the same thing, and we've started doing just last year. Started doing the exact same thing. I'm like, it started off where you kind of just accidentally left them in, and they're like, the more you think about it, I'm like, I kind of like the idea of them having to only have to guard a 3 or a 3.5 inch opening as opposed to a full. Again, I'm using 8 frame, a 13.5, 14 inch opening, on the front of that. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know that I feel like there's so much crowding there at the entrance. I'll see a little bit of bearding too, because I'm sure our humidity is probably pretty doggone close to what y'all's are.
Yeah.
It can get pretty humid. but-
That was part of my thing though. Like you say, I didn't have to go out there and move entrances in or move them out. It was easier to leave them there, but it's less room that they have to guard.
Mhm.
And I mean, we get the mites down here some, but our biggest issue is the hive beetles. So if they have a smaller entrance to try to fly into and they got more guards at that entrance, they can try to keep them out.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Philip Morris at RTX Honeybees just sent me this. This is how his hive stands is set.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I'm guessing that looks like it's a 4x4 under there. Is that right, Lee?
It looks like a 4x4 in the front and the back. It looks
Okay.
like he has his bricks on the side. The only reason I don't turn them on the side like that,
Yeah.
I find that my 4x4s, they're a little bit too close together.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it can tilt to the front or back too easy for me.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, he's got quite a few in there. I don't think if that little bitty nuke he's got there will be able to open up into a larger setup, but
And then it looks like his bubble right there
Mm.
is riding the line closer to one side.
oh, okay. Interesting. He put a little level on that deal.
Now you got to remember he's in Texas, so his level might be a little off too.
Oh,
So
I can't wait to see the comment from that coming back.
Well, originally he's Louisiana, but for some reason he moved to Texas. I ain't figured that one out yet.
Yeah.
So Morris Homestead has a question here about swarm cells.
Was that pretty close to the bottom here?
721.
At 721, yes.
721.
The Morris Homestead. So should he knock down swarm cell? He knocked down swarm cells on Monday, but for the next 2 weeks, the weather is going to be cool. Should I still check for swarm cells in the cold weather?
I would first question I would ask is, are you running a double brood box? And if the answer to that is yes, I would just separate the 2 brood boxes,
Mhm.
because more than likely, just like what we see, they will, but they often do not put those swarm cells on the very, very bottom of the frames on the bottom box. They usually put them from the top box hanging down into the spaces of the lower box. So if you break those brood boxes, tip it up just enough, maybe puff a little smoke underneath there, then you can usually see if they have actually tried to draw any of those back out.
You're definitely going to want to check like the very first day that temperatures get back up into the 60s, because that's the day, if they have made swarm cells, that's the day that they're going to fly off. That's what we find, that we get the most swarm calls and removal calls is like a day or two after the weather breaks and it warms back up, where the phones have been ringing off the hook all week this week.
For sure. We've had a lot of nice warm days. The overnight lows have not been getting very chilly. I'm going to say they've been very low 60s or very high 50s. So really the bees haven't had to do much clustering. I mean, first of all, that we run a double brood box too, and they're most of all those boxes are just banging pretty good. We've had to split them down pretty hard, and a couple of them we've had to do twice. So, but we did have to chase one down here, I guess, this afternoon that tried to leave the box, and luckily it swarmed to a cedar branch that was only about, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 feet up in the air. So that wasn't a big deal to get them captured. And we just went ahead and relocated them. We didn't really look for the queen. We were having to get back here and get cleaned up for this. So we didn't concern ourselves with looking for the queen. Once we got them back in there and they were fanning, we closed them up and drove off and put them up at the shop for the time being.
I do have a correction here. I got two texts at the same time, and I seen Philip and Philip. This picture is Philip Kent, 33 Mile Bees.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And the other one was Philip Morris.
Okay, so Philip Morris is the one that is in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so two separate ones there.
Yeah. This was Philip Morris, Texas, and this is Phil Kent, 33 Mile Bees.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was 33 miles north of the Detroit city.
Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense when he had said he was in the 40s and 50s, I believe. So he had to be much further north than where we were at in St. Louis for sure to see those kind of temperatures for sure.
But if they're big enough, if the hive's big enough that they're already making swarm cells, like even when it's in the 40s and 50s, you're not going to hurt that hive by breaking those brood boxes and checking it real quick and knocking down anything you see and just putting it back down.
Yeah, it's like you say, doing it real quick, that ain't gonna hurt. Now, if you're trying to pull frames and all that, and they got any brood in there, you're gonna chill it, and then you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah, I've cracked it. I don't go breaking through brood boxes and pulling frames at this temperature, but I've opened hives up plenty of times. I think we have a video on our Facebook page of us opening up hives, and it was like 20 degrees, and it was starting to snow on us actually. But I wanted to see where they were all at to make sure they had plenty of. We put some fondant on them this year and used that Hive Alive stuff just to see how things worked out, and partly because I was a little bit lazy, didn't want to make any candy boards. I felt like I didn't quite feed our colonies to the level that I should have, so we threw the fondant on them, and they seemed to eat it up just fine, and I didn't have to make any candy boards, so life was good.
Looks like Hale Hives is gonna join us in Slidell.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, he was down there with us last year. He came.
Yeah, I don't think I know I've seen Paul a couple times, but I don't know that I've ever officially met him. So yeah, when we go down there, we'll have to catch up, Paul. Say hello.
Like Tom Mac Apiaries has got his hives out looking good.
And that is a long hive stand.
No kidding.
That's crazy. What is that supported with under there? I can't really tell.
I'm trying to see if that's like long 2x4s, maybe.
Looks like a doggone train
You can see
track.
you can see it split right there.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on
That thing's
one.
got to be 16 feet long. Each one of those separations.
Yeah.
30. I'm guessing, if I had a wild guess, I'm going to say that building's probably 40 something, 50 feet long.
Well, he commented up there how long it is.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Hit us back again, Tom.
Let me see if I can
Curious to
find
know
it.
what you said.
Oh, there you go.
4x4 cedars.
Okay.
And let's see. I'm getting some more coming in here.
Yeah, looks like he's got his feeder pails on top of all his nukes there, getting them built up.
Some reason that one come in small. Ed, son of one, is I'm not sure what's going on there. It
Everybody
comes
get
like
your
real
magnifying
small.
Yeah,
Get your magnifying glass out and we can see that picture.
my eyes aren't that good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how everybody does their own hive stands. You know, it's just interesting. When I first started just deciding how we wanted to do ours, I started just looking things up, looking at pictures, and I landed on one that I thought was really strong. And first ones I had started to make were, I think I made them out of 2x8s framework. And I'm like, yeah, like that's probably a little bit overkill. I was trying to cheapen it down a little bit because that was about the time too. After the first couple of years when COVID was hitting, and all of a sudden the lumber prices just took a spike and just went out of control. So our 2x6 frames seem to do pretty well, and they're really strong and robust. So I'm sticking with that.
Tom Mac, where you said you use your barn as a windbreak. Do you have room to work your hives from behind then? Or are they pretty close up against your barn there? Do you have to work them from the front? Just curious.
Looking at it, it looks like you might have a little bit of walking room behind it there, because I see it almost looks like a Jester nuke box maybe laying in the back there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
see that now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I know when Tom did our first.
Then he got a horizontal sideways right here on the end.
Yep, I see that now.
So he's got at least 5 feet. Yeah. Oh, he says 10 feet
Okay.
from gravel to the barn, the back of the hive. Yep.
So like when Tom put our first hive stands in our backyard, we have a chain link fence. The word wasn't coming to me. Chain link fence. And he put them too close to the chain link fence because I'm short. And so I could barely like turn around. My jacket would like keep getting caught on the top of the chain link fence. So like when you redo these, they need to move further forward. I'm like, this is so annoying.
I had my flower bed a certain width, and I wasn't going to change it because of a short girl problem.
But guess what? It got changed.
As far as if I set the bees up, their stands, and something's wrong, it's just going to be my fault because Renee won't get near a bee, so I don't have to worry about her working the hives or nothing.
On your own, right?
She'll help me bottle, label. She went to the farmer's market on days that I wasn't able to go and stuff like that, but she's not going to get out there near a bee, and she don't help extract because I have bees flying in there. I mean, when you extract, and she's not sure if she's allergic or not, and she don't want to find out.
I see. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm probably missing some comments here because they kind of flying by pretty good.
So I'm just curious if everybody wants to type in the comments. I'm curious where everybody's at, and then also if your main flow has started. So here, kind of toward the eastern side of Missouri, 35 miles outside of St. Louis, where we are at, we started to notice about a week ago. It seemed like I noticed more wet nectar coming in. When I tip up a frame, I'd see some dripping out of it, and it seemed like that it was the last time I fed was probably 2 weeks ago. On some of those colonies got an extra gallon, and this definitely would not have been that. And then I was just talking with a gentleman who's in our bee club that has some hives probably within a mile and a half of where ours are at, and he said that he put a super on. Let's see, what did he tell me last weekend? And he said it was already here, and he runs 10 frame. He said he already has one full of wet nectar right now. They haven't completely dried it down, of course, but they already have one full. So I would say that basically puts us in the category of the nectar flow in our area is on. And Melissa just looked outside this evening at our poplar tulip tree that we have in the backyard. And I know 2 days ago when I looked out there, I didn't see the blooms opened up. And I didn't even pay attention.
I don't even think they were open up yesterday. I think they just opened up today.
So it looks like ours literally just opened up on that. And I know that in the St. Louis City area, a guy sent pictures the other day to me, I think 2 days ago, saying that the black locust trees were in full bloom. And I'm like, send pictures, because I'm like, I don't believe this. Sure enough, he sent pictures, and if they were literally from that day, those blooms were full open. They were full on. So
and that's still what, a half hour east of us?
Right. Be about 35 miles east of us. So it would seem likely that being in a city type area that you're under a little bit of a microclimate, probably a little bit warmer, I think that we were still probably a week to 10 days away, but I think that I would say most definitely if the weather stays nice and warm like it is, it would seem that we'll probably start having those pop up here, maybe at the tail end of the weekend or the beginning of next week. So that's pretty exciting for us because that's kind of our good, heavy, wet nectar flow. And hopefully the temperatures remain good and the wind remains relatively calm and the rain days are in moderation or not overly, keeping too much weather rolling in.
Yeah, I went and put supers on 1, 2, 3, 4 of the yards today. So
Yeah, elevation matters a ton too. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know I've added supers probably the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, and the one hive that I put the number 5 on today, I've added one every single week,
Wow.
and they'll just about have it packed.
And you had said earlier that your tallow has not even started to flow yet, right?
Mm-mm. Nope.
And
We don't even have buds on the trees here yet, so it's still a while before we even get buds, and then they bloom out.
Yeah.
And that's our big flow is the tallow. But the
Think-
last 2 years, our blackberry, as soon as the flowers started coming out, a freeze would hit, and it knocked all the blackberries out, and it's knocked all of our privet.
Privet. Oh, okay.
So we past couple years we ain't had privet, we ain't had blackberries, and we get a little bit of clover, but it ain't a lot. Now this year I'm seeing clover and privet just blooming everywhere.
Huh.
And then our blackberries.
Well, maybe it would seem like that across the country then, based upon what we're kind of hearing, if there isn't any, really bad or odd weather, maybe everyone will have a pretty good honey crop this year. Cause I know you all down south really it kind of tanked for you guys because of the cold snap that come in really late.
Yeah. Last year we had that late cold snap, and then we had pretty much a drought the rest of the year. We were under a burn ban here for months.
Yeah. That's never easy.
So the tallow that did or did not get froze out, we did have some bloom back out, but we didn't have enough rain to actually get any nectar out of it.
Yeah. Now, have you guys been having an absorbent amount of rain, or would you say it's been in good, keeping in check, or what do you think?
I'd say it's more average this year. And according to the Farmer's Almanac, and we've been doing pretty much exactly what it's saying this year. We getting average rain, we getting good temperatures, no late freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we're supposed to get no higher chance of rain until late summer,
Okay.
according to the almanac. So by that time, all of our nectar flows will be over. Besides, our goldenrod.
Yeah. Now, when is you all's main rainy season? When does that start up?
Usually spring, we get a lot of rain down here. And through the summer, we get hit and miss here and there. Nothing extremely too much and not too little. It's pretty average here.
Yeah.
But last year, it was just dry. Like I said, we were under a burn ban for months at a time.
Yeah. So far, I feel like it's been fairly dry here. We've had some rain days, but nothing that's been great. And usually most of our rain comes in April and May, I would say. Some can start a little bit earlier than that, but we can also have some linger a little bit too. But
we had a little bit of rain today. A front came in, and
yeah.
there's supposed to be a little bit more this evening, and then it'll be just like hit or miss here coming up.
Yeah, I feel like the rain that we got here this evening would have been enough to wet the ground pretty well. So that would probably affect more like ground forage. But, I think you need longer, deeper rains to really affect some of your larger plants like trees and things like that.
Then it depends on if they're already blooming out. If they've been a little dry and they're starting to bloom anyway, you're not really going to have that nectar in there until you get a good rain. And then it's going to be depending on how dry the ground was to start with. If it don't soak up that little rain, if you get enough, it's still going to take multiple days for that tree to absorb all that and then start producing nectar.
Well, it's kind of like this last fall. We had in the fall, goldenrod was like everywhere. We had a ton of goldenrod, but it just was not producing any nectar because it had just been so dry all summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely need the moisture for it to produce the nectar.
Danae and Jack, we was about 40 degrees above y'all today. We hit right at 84, 85.
Wow. She must be pretty far north. I can't.
They're in Wyoming.
Oh, okay. Okay. North and west.
Yeah, Mac Apiary says rain tonight, storm watch out. I think that's what just came through our area.
Definitely.
It's probably what's heading to you.
Mm-hmm.
It was fast and furious.
Yeah, I think for the most part, northern part of Missouri, when I woke up this morning, they were getting rain up there, and I knew we were supposed to get rain this afternoon. So luckily, we got our workday all completed. But they were getting rain up north, so that was probably what's headed to Ohio there, catching Tom.
So what's a dearth? A dearth is when there's either no nectar or no pollen.
He said they don't get one there. If I'm not mistaken, I think David's in New York.
So you don't get a dearth at all? You've always got nectar, and
Wow.
even in August?
That's amazing. That'll help keep those bees, cranking along, keeping nutrition on them. Probably less having to feed or
No
feed
doubt.
patties or pollen.
That'd be nice. Not having to feed going into winter.
Would be, yeah. Yeah. You want to talk about that one-eyed drone? Yeah.
Well, whatever.
You still have, Lee? You still have that picture of the drones that we sent? That picture in the video.
Sure do.
So when we were going through our one bee yard, I'm like, hey Tom, look at this. We found a drone with white eyes.
Yep, right there. I promise I did not paint that
Look-
drone's eyes.
It looks like we put some white out on his eyes, but we didn't. That was at first because I was cutting out like fur comb that a lot of times it's drone comb, and stuff squirts out of them, white stuff. At first I thought that that's what was on the drone, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, that's a white-eyed drone. So it was interesting to us because, well, I've never seen one. But then also in February, we had Julia Mahood speak at our bee club, and she speaks on drones and DCAs and all that stuff. And she had mentioned white-eyed drones, and she said that they are said to be blind. They were originally thought to be blind, but new research has come about, and I can't remember what university she said.
I believe it was the University of Georgia. That's where she's from. She's from Atlanta, Georgia, and I believe it was the University out of Georgia. And I think that's Athens.
I think so, but
I
I'm
believe
not
it's Athens.
positive. So anyway, she said new research is showing that they're not actually blind, but they're not able to orientate. So they leave the hive to go out on the mating, to go to DCA mating flights, whatever, and they can't find their way back because they can't orientate to where they came from.
I think they had done a light
Or they
test.
can't find the DCA either because they can't orientate.
Right. So their sight is probably not what it should be, but they're not blind, according to her. They did a test, I think, with light, and the drones actually responded to light. So they determined that they could see, but again, for whatever reason, I don't know if it somehow affected the way they were, like Melissa said, able to orientate, to the sun and or the front of the hive. So they weren't. They could fly out. They couldn't figure out how to get back, I guess. But we thought that was pretty interesting. She had been.
Oh, look who's commenting. Look who's commenting.
Oh, that was me.
Oh. You commented. I'm like, he's back and he's not on.
Well, if I put that in on the StreamYard side, it shows up yellow for everybody to see it better.
I gotcha. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting that we were able to see that when she had spoke at our club. We flew her in for, Corey Stevens spoke in January. She spoke in, I think it was
February.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Spoke in February and talked about it. And I think actually, did she have a video or a couple of pictures on that?
I don't remember.
But anyway, we thought it was pretty interesting when she spoke about it and gave a little bit of information about it. And then we happened to see one ourselves in our own hive. So kind of a cool little story there. Nearsighted drone. You talking about me?
Hey there, Lisa. See you coming in. Let's see. I had 2 videos from you too. Was one of them the drone? Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I do see it.
One was a
Yeah.
drone. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see him moving around there at the top of the frame.
Just minding his business.
Just bumping into everything. Your set of drone, bumping into stuff. I'm not sure. He might have had a cane. I'm not sure. I didn't see.
He had a CNI bee helping him around.
Yeah, CNIB. No, it was the thing
That's right.
hive beetle. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. Things you don't often see in hives.
That's right. Yeah. Just curious in anybody that's following along if they've seen that in their own hives or not. Julia Mahood acted like it was kind of a very rare thing to see that. And once she pointed out and you seen the drone walking around, you really couldn't unsee it. You know, clearly it's kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
Trying to catch back up here.
You think natural selection would remove those genetics? So I think it kind of does, because like she was saying, they can't orientate, so they can't necessarily find the DCA to go to mate with the queens. So
yeah, we only seen that one on the frame, and we
Yeah.
kind of looked through. I pulled up a few more frames in there just to see if I seen anything else, and I mean, there was nothing that we had seen that was standing out, you know, like that one in particular. But you can definitely tell in an area when stuff really starts rolling in as far as the nectars and stuff. We've had recently, I would say over the last week, a bunch of calls for cutouts, potential cutouts, as well as swarms. And we don't generally chase the swarms down too much. We'll sometimes refer those off a little bit, but the cutouts, we had 4 different people in particular that we were not able to locate a colony inside of the home. And I think it was based upon the activities that we had seen outside the homes that people thought that they had bees. I think they were just looking and scouting spots out. So we had to tell everybody, if you have a hole out there, we noticed a couple things. You need to get those sealed up ASAP, because these bees, they're looking for a place to make home. And for whatever reason, there's some of them that are attracted to this.
and
to this
they
area.
all had like a good amount of bees, like hovering and you know, trying to find entrance
Yeah.
or what they wanted to make their entrance. It's like, if you don't want these guys to move in with you, get these holes plugged up. Like,
And the thing is, they got to watch what they plug it with too. Some people, you'll watch them go out there with a can of that expanding foam and say, "Oh, I'm just going to put a little bit over the hole." Nah, they'll eat right through that and get in anyway. If anything, put some good caulk on there to make sure that it kind of solidifies a little bit harder. They're not going to chew through that caulk normally.
Yeah. We've noticed that silicone works really well unless a bee is really determined, and often that's a pretty good deterrent. Silicone actually does a really good job because they have a really hard time of trying to chew it because it's so like rubber and real malleable.
yeah, we've got 3 more inspections to go to tomorrow,
Yeah.
at least right now. Like, the phone has been like just getting all kinds of calls all day long about swarms or bees in houses and things like that.
Sure.
I think right now a lot of people are just finding scout bees, and they think that's a lot of bees, so they think these bees are in their house, but they haven't quite moved in yet. But they're getting ready to.
Well, I pretty much told everybody that knows me, if it's inside of a house or any type of wall that I actually got to do work and get them out, don't call me. Call somebody else. If they own a bush or just hanging on the side of your house, yeah, I might come get them.
See, we're opposite. We don't want those ones.
Mm.
Well, so our issue with like collecting swarms is, by the time you get to them, a lot of times they're already gone, and you wasted your time and your gas and whatever going all the way out to them. And it's like, unless they're like within 10 miles of us, we're not interested in going and collecting a swarm.
Or if it's somebody that I know personally, I call them and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, Tom, I've got one older gentleman around me. He called me last year, and for whatever reason, I said, yeah, I'll come out and help you." I went out and picked him up. He was on a 5 foot off the ground on a bush, and him and I talked for a long time. Great gentleman. And he calls me again this year and says, "Hey," he goes, "it's out of his own hives, and he's made his hives almost like a top bar. It's like a modified version of a top bar, and he's made each one of his." And
I don't think he's so much as a beekeeper as he is a bee haver. So I don't think he really manages his hives too much. He just
yeah,
I'm
think
like that sometimes.
and he,
Yeah.
but like I don't think he does anything to prevent them from swarming. I think he just lets them, you know.
when he had called me about this swarm last, I think was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week.
Well, it's like a couple days
He had
apart.
said, he goes, two of my other hives already swarmed, and I already put them in boxes. He goes, "I just don't have any room, and I don't really want to do anything with them." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come out and help you." So I did. I went out there one evening right before dark, and they were, I think, maybe 10 foot up on the edge of a bark on a tree. Was able to get them off really easy. And I didn't see the queen that night, but I wasn't concerned. When I put them in the box, they were fanning pretty quickly after that. So I figured that I got it taken care of. And then when I checked them the next day, after putting some drawn comb in there, I found her in there. So all was well with that. But and then he calls me again the other night saying he has someone. I said, I'm really too busy. I can't make it out there to help you out. So I said, "Well, what if I get somebody else in touch with them?" So I did. And so I think they're continuing to swarm on them. And I wanted to tell him to go in there and knock some cells down or give him some more room or make a split or do something. But I think he's content just having the bees and that's fine. So be it.
There's woods in his backyard, so they tend, like every swarm we've got from them, they're going straight to these trees and hanging on them. So
my only fear is there's a lot of houses around him for quite a ways, and I feel like at some point they'll make their way into somebody's house, and I don't want to have to. I think that as beekeepers, I think we kind of have this is my opinion. We have a responsibility, especially if you're in a residential area, to, for one, make sure that you have colonies that are not overly aggressive, for one. And then secondly, I would say, manage them well enough that they don't swarm, because then when they do make it somebody's house, people don't like that. They get upset. It costs them money. And then next thing you know, some people are raising a ruckus. Yeah. About
and nobody wants bees in their town anymore.
Right.
They're going to blame it on the local guy they know got the bees.
Guaranteed. Right. I've seen it before where they say, "Well, my neighbor's got a hive. I'm sure they came from there." And I'm like, "Well," I said, "I don't know your neighbor, and I don't know how well they manage or don't manage. But what I will say is that just because he has hives does not mean that they're coming from his."
Teenagers are getting ready to walk into our house. So just, if it gets loud, there's a ruckus for a minute. Just warning everybody.
I finally got a picture here. It got transmitted to somebody else and then to me, but this is Ed, son of One's Yard. So he's starting to build up a few colonies back around there.
He's got them on pallets there then.
Yeah.
Now, where is he at?
He's near Dothan, Alabama also. Dothan or Ozark. I can't remember exactly. He's not far from Lisa and Bruce and them.
So he's using the plastic Pronukes, thank you. Do you guys have issue using those in the warmer climate down there? This is something Tom and I have been like going back and forth on, because we have a ton, and he's like, "I don't want to use those for making splits." I'm like, "It's a temporary house."
Mm-hmm. I haven't used them myself yet, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, Ed said he's Dothan.
I bought, it wasn't last year at Nabi, I bought the year before. I had purchased, I think it was 20 of the Pro Nukes. And whenever they were discounted down. I think it was right before they really started to jump up in price. So I had bought some, and I hadn't used any of them yet, but it seemed like it's been just a little bit warmer here lately. And I'm not saying like 90 degrees warm, but I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if I want to use them or not. I feel like the ventilation's not great in them. The plastic heats up well, because I was talking to Melissa about ordering some more 5-frame wooden nukes with the migratory lids that we've been using, and growing the bees in there. That way, if for some reason I want to grow them in those nukes and super them up and leave them in there over the summertime, then I have the ability to do that. On a Pro Nuke, once it grows out of that, you got to move it quickly. So that was my only reasoning behind that. So we said I split 3 into pro nukes and come home when they were bearding up the front really bad, keep them out of the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've seen some people take the pro nukes and put like a piece of plywood or something on top just to keep that
that's a
sun
good
from
idea.
hitting it direct.
That would make sense.
And actually, all of our bee yards are in direct sun
Mhm.
all day. So that would, yeah.
Yeah, putting something like you said, a piece of plywood, I think that would probably help to solve that problem, just to keep the entrance shaded and keep that extra heat from beating on the actual top cover itself.
But yeah, I was trying to convince them. I'm like, it's just going to be a temporary home because these bees are growing so fast. I'm like, the ones that we have, how many nuke boxes do we have?
Oh, I
40
don't-
something, 50?
yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
remember.
these bees are growing so fast right now. I'm like, they're not going to be in these nuke boxes very long before we move them into full size hives. So I'm like, just use the pro nukes for a temporary, few weeks and move on.
Yeah, Tom mentions he uses the Jester Easy Nukes, and I had Pro Nukes, but I like the Easy Nuke better over the years. So I have like 30 or 40 of the Easy Nukes, and that's what I would sell nucleus colonies to somebody in because they're a little bit more cost effective than the Pro Nukes are. Not by a lot anymore. They used to be about half the price. Used to be under
the
$10,
same
I
price.
think, but now the last couple of years they've kind of jumped up in price.
Now, Ricky has got a little work going right now. That's what I just received from him.
Oh yeah.
Is
But
that
he did say he would be here in a few minutes, maybe.
Yeah, no problem.
So we'll all still take a
we'll
vote.
think about we'll think about letting him in.
We'll take a vote in the comments
Take a
before
vote,
and see if we let him in.
Think
Yeah.
about-
Everybody that's watching, let's take a vote. Yes, yay or nay. Do we want Ricky to come in? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down. There you go. Let's do that.
Yeah,
If
thumbs
you
up and
really
thumbs down
want
if you want Ricky to come in his own live.
Yeah. If
Now,
you
as far as like the swarms or doing cutouts and all that, the reason I don't like the cutouts, number one, I'm a crane operator. I ain't gonna lie, and Renee tells everybody all the time I'm spoiled of the AC.
Mhm.
So I walk out the door and I go to sweating. Well, the cutouts, you're in there for sometimes it could be multiple hours at a time. You hot, you sweaty, you trying to cut comb out, you got honey everywhere, you trying to frame stuff up. I would rather just walk up with my vacuum, get them off of a building or something, or walk up to a little branch and shake it and let them fall straight in the box and go.
Yeah.
Now,
That is definitely much easier.
yeah, the swarm that I got yesterday from work, I went out there and checked them a while ago. I didn't inspect real good. I wasn't looking for the queen and all that. I just wanted to see if they started doing any work. I don't know how good you can see it on screen because my
There's
camera
nectar
was
there.
dirty, but they've already started putting nectar and they had 3 frames like that. They started, you can see the glistening in them.
The fact that they would orientate, because think about it. Once you put them in a box and put them in a location, they're going to have to kind of organize to some degree, right? That'll take a little bit of time. They're going to have to orientate, so they have to do that. These are some musts that they have to get done. And then after that, they have to fly out and find a good nectar source. So for them to start putting that much away in that short of time, I'm saying that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I put them in the horizontal box that I got from Ricky. So I left the one that I have, it'll break it down all the way to 6 5-frame nukes, or I can work it out to 12 2-frame mate nukes or 3 10-frame, however I want to convert it. So I just stuck on a 5-frame section right now. But I think what I'm going to do, once they start filling that up a little more, probably maybe this weekend or something, I'll go out there and pull one of those divider boards out and drop a couple more frames in next to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll try to go through and look for the queen, check, make sure they got eggs in there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as of right now, they seem to be doing good. And they were calm when I went into them.
That's always, I was worried about that at first when I had picked up that swarm from that gentleman last week. It's sitting behind the shop where I keep my equipment. And I didn't have a veil or anything. I'm like, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to peek in there and see if they'll be nice. And a couple days thereafter, I went in and popped them open, and I was gentle with them and pulling some frames out. I didn't have any pop off at me and hit me in the face. So that was good.
Like Philip saying here, they do fill up with nectar before they swarm also. But up in the hole of the conics that I pulled them out of, they did start drawing a little comb in there. Now it wasn't much, so they didn't use a lot of their stores that they had with them. But I'm sure they used a little bit and then flying and everything. But
Yeah.
they probably unloaded some once they got here. But then whenever I went out there, they were in and out flying this evening. Yesterday they were doing their little orientation flights, but today in and out they were coming.
Now, do you see your bees coming back with a lot of pollen, or do you think they're just coming back with mainly nectar right now, or a little bit of combination?
A little bit of combination. I think they're coming back with more nectar than pollen, but I do see a little bit of pollen still coming in.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the way it is for us. We've had a lot of pollen flying, and we've had some frames where they'll have mostly a frame that's loaded up with different colors of pollen in there. So I think they're probably just this last week or moving into this, now I think they're probably working on bringing nectar back in more. that prevalent resource out there.
So
Yeah.
So I was just looking at this and talking about those hive butlers. They're so expensive, and I don't know, they're like $90 or something, aren't they? They're like really expensive.
I thought they were over 100.
So Tom actually made our own version. You can tell him about it, but we bought.
Tip the camera
I'm trying to.
or the phone. It's not going to show up.
It's not going to show because it's clear on a white background.
Yeah, they might have to dim it down a little bit.
Let me see.
A lot of times it's too bright for the camera.
Let me see. There we go. So we bought like 3 or 4 of those, and then you can tell them what you did with them.
So if you've seen that, actually has not that this part matters, but there's 2 clips on either one of the sides, and then there's 1 clip on each end, and they have a rubber seal in there. So they're actually watertight. And I think I paid like $14 or $15 a piece for them. And I think I got them from Target, but there's a few locations that were actually selling them. That's big enough. It's a little bit deeper than what a deep frame would be, but they're long enough that you can put a regular frame, whether you use medium, shallows, or deeps. I use deeps. So you just have to put on the ends. I fasten a little, just a 1x board on the inside. And then that way I can set my frames inside there. And I also put the little metal dividers that kind of hold each one of the frames in place that you might put in the super. I went ahead and installed those in there. And actually some of the material I had laying around the house was some rot-free PVC trim, which is like a 1x material. I put that in there and then put the little divider pieces in there so I can get, I can't remember now, I want to say 8 or 9 frames, if I remember right in there. And what we would use those for is when we go to do a cutout, we could hang them in there and start framing up brood inside there. Now, the only thing I'll tell you is you don't want to leave that in the sun because it's like a magnifying glass and it heats up inside that box pretty heavily. The only other thing I was talking about doing was cutting some vent holes in the side and screening it. So if you wanted to put bees in there and just transport them from one location to the next, you could do that.
We also use them for when the hives start getting honey bound to pull honey frames out, and we'll store the honey frames in those until we need to use them. Yeah,
that works really well for that. Then you don't have to worry about any pest or anything getting inside there. You can pull them back, and I've actually stored them most of the summer long in my garage, and it stays pretty reasonable temperature, and theirs doesn't get too hot. And I can go back and I can give them some frames on some colonies that might need a little help. And also it allows you to, during the nectar flow, to draw out a bunch of new comb, which I really I like that they'll do that for me, draw out a bunch of new fresh comb for me.
Jeff Butler got a question here. What's everybody's opinion on the best pollen trap? Now, I've seen Melissa put in there the Apame trap.
That's the only one that we've ever used. So I really like it. It's easy to use. It's, it's all in one bottom board thing. So I like it. I think it worked really well last year for us. And that was the first year that we tried it. It's the only pollen trap I've ever used. So
the only one I've ever used is from Better Bee. Basically, you put 2 screws or 2 nails in that you want, and you just hang it on there. And then the little door right here, which you won't let me zoom in, but
yeah,
the door, you can flip it up and lock it into place to where they can just fly in and out freely, however they want. But if you flip that door down, then it makes them go through the little grate.
I
and
see.
it drops the pollen into a tray, and then you just pop that tray out. And they're $20 a piece.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a lot.
yeah.
So the Apame one is like $65 for the bottom board, I think itself.
69, I want to say.
And they only do that in 10 frame.
Yeah.
So that was, because we run 8 frame equipment, so we had to specifically have a couple of 10 frame boxes so we could use those pollen traps. And then
How long do y'all leave y'all's on for at a time?
In the past, we've only done it for a couple of days and then turn it back off for a few days. You can turn it back on. I would say I wouldn't leave it on for more than a few days.
Yeah. That's generally what I do. I'd leave mine on about a day and a half, and then I'd flip the little door open, give them a day and a half. That way, they still bringing some pollen in. You don't want to take all of it from them.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
And those are some of the hives that when our pollen trapping hives, we have those at our yard at our house, so that because they do need more attention and whatnot, turning them on and off all the time. So
yeah, makes it easy.
I did figure out how to zoom this in. On the side of these, they got a little hole too that's big enough for your drones to be able to get in and out, because they're not going to fit through that grate. But then some of the other bees will actually come in and out of there too. So they'll be bringing a little bit of pollen in when it's shut down, but not as much.
Yeah.
So my question would be is how does everybody store their pollen? Like, do you dehydrate it? Do you freeze it? Do you winnow it first and then, to clean everything out of it? And then do you dehydrate? Do you freeze? Because last year I winnowed it and then I froze it, but then I got Tom got me a dehydrator this winter. So I was going to try that this year. I'm just curious what everybody else does.
I had dehydrated mine and then put it in the freezer, but I only done a couple of the small jars. And I'm trying to find a picture that I have here. This is from a couple of years ago too. Drop that.
What were people getting for that? A couple dollars an ounce?
I think I sold it for $2 an ounce last year.
I didn't sell none of mine. I had people asking about it, but I wasn't collecting enough really to.
Well, that's why we started trapping, is because people kept asking about it.
I mean, it come out nice and clean.
Yeah, it did.
And then a lot of people, and the way I was using it, I was just putting it into like smoothies or shakes and stuff like that, just mixing it straight in.
I have some in the freezer still.
Yeah.
Somewhere up here, Steve Amos was talking about that bin that you have. He said you can paint the outside of it.
Yeah, the greenhouse effect. Yeah, that was great advice for sure. I probably need to do that. I probably need to cut a couple of vents on either side just to help keep it cool, even if I just have frames. Because I tell you, even if you throw just a waxed plastic frame inside there, and you're just running down the road, in the truck going to location, it'll get hot enough in there to start that wax that's on those frames will get really shiny, so you can tell it's melted off pretty quickly. I actually by accident left a frame in there laying on its side or something, kind of not hanging straight up and down, and it actually warped the plastic foundation inside of the black plastic foundation. Actually warped it. So we use that frame anymore for cutouts. When I cut a piece of comb, I lay it on that, hand it to Melissa, and she does what she does with it, and then hands it back. So didn't want to use a warped foundation in there.
Did you look at the comments there earlier when we took that vote? I mean, did they vote to let Ricky come into the live, or are we keeping him out?
Ruth and the puppy.
Yeah, Ruth and the puppy. I think there's Via Honeybees in there give a thumbs up. They definitely wanted him in. Got to have him. There was a few in there kind of pondering. I think.
I guess we'll have to lean to the other side, because I mean it is his channel, so maybe that's worth an extra thumbs up or two.
I think so. I mean, I'm saying, yeah, that's my vote. My vote's yeah. Darren says yeah too. So,
all right, I guess we'll let Ricky come on in here.
Well, look, everybody, I just want to say we have a special guest this evening. Some of y'all might know him, some of y'all might not. He's kind of a big deal around the beekeeping community. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Mr. Ricky Rourke with Horizontal Bees.
What's going on, folks? Oh, what a day.
Now, Ricky, you know that we start this here at 7, okay? So we're going to need you to be on time next time.
I'll try. You know what I'm saying? when you spend 3 hours laying on your side digging comb out of a log, I'd much rather be with you guys.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's necessary to get your hands dirty. That's all right.
Well,
Yeah.
if it was in a
help people
log,
out, right?
if it was in a log close to the ground, shouldn't Amber have been up in there?
That's what I'm
I
thinking.
know.
I 100% agree with that.
She's
Yeah.
a little bit closer.
She's got to earn that puppy, that puppy payment, right?
Uh-huh.
That's 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah.
She did
He'll
take
let
some
me
video
in here.
for us and some pictures, so we hope to upload that video coming up.
Yeah, for
That'd
sure.
be good.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, appreciate it, Darren. So
We've been trying to hold down the fort for you, Ricky.
I think you've done pretty good. So
We
it
didn't
looks
go
like,
too far off the rails.
Yeah.
nah, it looks like y'all done good tonight. So from what I've heard, so
So I think Steve Amos actually has a question up there. You saw
yeah,
it.
and somebody else did also.
So we were actually just talking about this with Lee right before the live.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's personal opinion. Definitely, right? Everybody, I see people all the time throughout the information, even like right now in like Missouri, where we've had some days getting close to 80, but really not bad. And everyone, when they see some bearding on there, everyone gets a little freaked out, and everyone's like, "You need to give more ventilation, give more ventilation, give more ventilation." My opinion, for what it's worth, I don't. Yeah, not much. You know, maybe a cent, maybe a penny. I don't know. We were talking about this earlier. We started last year, and this is again Eastern Missouri, and we get pretty humid here. We leave it on the over the wintertime. If the colony's small, we'll turn it to that little small opening. That's what, maybe 3/4 of an inch or so, Lee, you think?
Yeah.
About a quarter.
Probably around about.
And then we'll flip it back to that, I'm going to say 3.5 inch or so opening. And we left it there all summer long
No
last year.
issue.
Now, did we see some bearding? Yeah, seen a little bit of bearding, but by the time you go out there and look at it late at night, look in there, most of those bees go back inside. So I don't really see that being a problem. That's just my opinion, but
They can definitely
we
defend it easier too when it's on that smaller opening.
That's my thought process behind it. And also, I mean, it's being a little bit lazy, right? So you don't have to pull them out, go store them, try not to lose them, because all of them sometimes don't even fit 100%. Sometimes they might just be a hair big or something like that. So we just started leaving them in, and I like the idea so much that I've never seen a colony abscond. I'll say that, out of one of our hives, and so I don't really think it's a problem.
Look, you've never seen a colony abscond out of one of our hives because of the entrance reducer.
Well, my point was it being too
They
it's
have
being too hot.
absconded.
because it being too hot. That was the point I was trying to drive home here.
I hadn't found any of mine left as far as just because of heat like that being overheated.
Yeah.
Now I've had one that it had some wax moths got into it. They were a little weak and they left. I believe I've had one, maybe two that's absconded over small hive beetles,
Yeah.
but never the heat.
Yeah, this colony above our heads right here that had bees in it, it absconded on Monday. Completely
really?
out. It's completely empty now. Yep, sure is.
So have you got in there at all and checked it if they have like a lot of hive beetles or anything like that?
I haven't seen any hive beetles. I don't know what caused it to swarm out or abscond, but there was some diarrhea on the window up there. So they've got into something bad somewhere. So I don't know. What does everybody think? Should I cut the comb out and blowtorch it all, or leave it in there and just clean it with some Clorox? What does everybody think? I don't know what to do.
Me, I'd say if it has wet nectar in it,
Mhm.
I would probably take that out. Or if you were doing any open feeding, I would take it out. Now, if everything's pretty dry and clean, if you're able to, I would hit it with OA myself and then try putting another colony in.
Okay. That's good advice. What about you, Melissa? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn. The diarrhea thing is kind of making me think you should probably take it out just to be, better safe than sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Especially if
what's
you
up.
catch a swarm and put a swarm in there, they're gonna draw comb, easy
Almost
enough
me.
right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I did put some sugar water on them right over here during the winter, and I don't know if it went bad maybe, and there was some mold or something in it, and they got into it. I don't know, but they definitely got into something that caused them to abscond. So it was kind of interesting. We was talking about it, last week, and then Monday I look up and they're all gone. So it's pretty interesting.
I wonder if the light also though has something to do with it. So
Maybe.
the local bee shop here in St. Louis, Isabee's, why I asked about the hive beetle thing. They have a observation hive that they built themselves. It's in like a tube, actually. It's pretty big from the ceiling to the floor, whatever. And there's a lot of space in there. I will say that. They came in and found their hive had actually left all their comb that they had up there and were down on the floor of the observation hive because there were so many hive beetles in there. Like they basically stayed in the same space, but absconded that space and went down to the bottom.
That's interesting.
I was asking about the hive beetles, if there were a lot of hive beetles or whatnot in there.
I haven't seen any hive beetles at all, to be honest with you. But they do get wasps will come in because of it's such a small colony.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen bumblebees and flies. I've seen a lot of stuff go in there that they just can't guard because the entrance is right in here, right? So maybe I started them in the wrong location that they can't guard the front entrance, and maybe that's what caused
Oh
it.
yeah, that's probably true also. Yeah. Yeah, because when you do cutouts, if you think about it, the entrance is never very far away from where the colony lives.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you probably need to either move the entrance or move the colony closer.
Yeah. Jason's asking me if anybody been spraying Christmas trees. We do have Christmas trees in our area also. Not that I know of. With the state of North Carolina, if you register your bees with the state, anybody that's spraying any pesticides around your area that's a local beekeeper, they're supposed to notify you that they're spraying a chemical. So nobody notified me, but that doesn't mean that somebody hasn't.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any Christmas trees around any of our yards. So.
The only Christmas trees I got near mine, my number 2 yard, is an older gentleman, and he used to raise some Christmas trees. I'd say maybe 75 or 100, something like that. He would raise just to sell, make a little extra money. But he hadn't done that in the past 2 years. But I don't know if he was spraying anything or what he was spraying, but I just asked him if he did spray anything in the yard, give me a little bit of notice. That way, either I can come over there the day he's spraying, cover the hives up that morning or something, or move them off property for a few days.
Yeah, that's the key. I don't mind anybody spraying any chemicals, but if you'll let me know, I can probably pin my bees up for a couple of days, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be okay if I give them the right ventilation. So I'd rather do that than leave my bees.
So we have one yard that they do dairy cows, but they have an alfalfa field, right? It's alfalfa. But they don't spray it or use any pesticides on it. But then the farmer across the street, I don't know what he grows, but he does use soybeans. He does use chemicals and whatnot. But we tried to position our hive because we know which direction the wind comes, so we're not getting that drift coming, into our hives. So that seems to work out. We didn't have any issue with it last year, so it seems to be working out okay.
I wonder if anybody else in the chat has to deal with any kind of pesticides in their location, because depending on where you're at, could be different pesticides being sprayed out, whether it's cotton or maybe soybeans or something. I don't know if there's something that's sprayed on those that might hurt the bees.
Yeah.
As far as locally around me, we don't have any, I'd say, farming agriculture. The nearest thing is probably about 20 to 25 miles. They got a lot of sugar cane starting. Basically, the plant that I'm working in right now, it's surrounded by sugarcane fields. But around me, we don't have nothing here.
We need to come to your area to get a bunch of sugar then bring a big trailer down and load up some big tote bags of sugar then, huh?
Done some work a couple years ago at a sugar mill, probably I'd say 35 miles away. They was putting in some new units over there, and I had to go lift everything up to install.
Hey, Ricky, how many pieces of comb are drawn up in that colony behind you?
If I'm not mistaken, it's got 6 in it, Tom, and they're about almost the size of a nuke. Yeah, it built up really good last year, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, was getting ready for winter, had lots of honey in it, and just as the winter went on, it just slowly but surely dwindled down. I didn't think it was going to make it, and then it kind of blew up a little bit early spring, and then it got back small again. So I don't know what was going on with it. So I thought maybe the queen was failing, to be honest with you.
That could be. It's probably really hard to inspect that. There wasn't a.
Yeah, I mean, I can inspect it once I take that lower panel out right there to go up inside of it and see it. So.
Oh, okay. Now I'm just curious that wall where the entrance is at. What directions does that face?
It actually faces south.
It's over here.
Faces south.
Yeah, it goes out. This wall right here goes up south. So the colony is actually over here, right?
Yep.
But the entrance is all the way over here.
I
So
see.
I wanted them to fill that whole section up and move to the entrance, back down this way, but that didn't quite work out the way I'd expected because they just didn't get big enough.
You didn't draw the blueprints out for them and tell them to follow this?
But I tell you,
Me and Ricky was talking about observation hive for my office.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't figure out where to put one, but I think I finally figured it out. I think I got enough room above the window over here between where the curtain and the ceiling is. It'd have to be about a little over a deep frame and then about 3 foot wide, 3 or 4 foot wide. I think we can handle that.
All right. That sounds like a plan. We'll get that taken care of.
Let's see. You can't really see it, but behind these boxes here, there's a double window width there. And right above that, I think we could put it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
It's
Rick-
really cool. I'll be honest with you. To be able to come in during the afternoon and sit down in my recliners just on the other side and to be able to come in here and watch the bees and listen to live chats with everybody else or be talking to the family, you get a lot of good information that comes from that observation hive. And it helps me as a hive builder,
Now, is that a piece of plexiglass that covers that area?
It is a piece of plexiglass, yes.
I wonder how cool that would be if you had an area of it that was screened. You know how they talk about how the air inside of a hive being really healthy and very pure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Replace that plexiglass with window screen.
Oh my gosh.
know. Not saying you have to do all of it, but you could do a couple areas, right?
That would be really interesting, Tom. And I think it maybe needed a little bit more ventilation also, especially for that top half, because it builds a lot of heat right there, right?
Okay.
So that would help with some ventilation there. So let me run that by the wife and make sure she's okay with it first.
Hey, now hold on. Can she hear me?
She's actually not feeling good tonight with a headache.
Oh.
She's in bed already.
Well, Tom, just speak Spanish and she'll hear. And
well, I have to speak Spanish through my phone. That's how I have to do it. I know about enough to order a meal and some hit and miss stuff. That's about the best I can do when it comes to Spanish. What I was going to say was maybe you ought to just ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes you just yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. Is that what he does, Melissa?
Often. He
He
comes
don't
home.
buy expensive, extractors or uncapping tanks or
Right.
anything like that, right?
He comes home. He's like, I bought this. I'm like, well, I don't remember approving that in the budget. He's like, I don't remember asking. I'm like, oh, okay, works out then.
see, that's where I'm lucky at right there. I'll tell Renee that I'm going to buy something. She's like, why are you telling me? I'm like, I'm just letting you know what I'm buying. She's like, you work, you make money, get what you want.
See,
I said, well, I'm still going to let you know what I'm getting. But the thing is, I handle all the money, so she really don't even know what we got. But the thing is, I'll tell her to go shopping and buy herself something. She goes buy stuff for me or the kids or the grandkid. And then I'm like, no, that was for you. Or if we go shopping, we'll be walking through and she's like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, well, get it. No, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I'll grab it, throw it in the buggy. She throws it back out. So I finally found a way around that. Once we go out to the car and was unloading stuff, I'm like, darn it, I forgot something. Let me run back in. I'll go back in and grab what you want. And then I throw the receipt away, so you can't do nothing now. It's yours.
Black eye incoming.
Well, I picked on her when she first moved down here. She's from North Louisiana. And she moved down here and she'd go home every couple weekends, something, see family. So I'd give her my debit card. She'd call me, we're getting a little hungry. Is it okay if we stop and get something to eat? I'm like, that's what you got the card for. She'd call, well, I'm getting low on gas. Can I get some gas? I'm like, that's what you got the card for.
Mhm.
Finally, she kept calling, like, I need some gas. I'm like, you call me for gas one more time, I'm going to tell you, no, you had enough gas, pull over on the side of the road and wait till tomorrow.
Lee, if you want, I'll give you my address. You may already have it, but I'll give you my address. If you got that extra card, go ahead and send it over to me. I'll help you out there, buddy.
Believe me, I got enough stuff back here I've been buying and doing that I need to slack off myself.
Yeah. But if it's beekeeping related, that's okay.
Right.
Fudge a little bit.
You gotta have enough.
I got
tools,
some
right?
beekeeping back here, but I got rock climbing too.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that's pretty costly because any of that gear that has to go through certifications and stuff, they're going to ask a premium for that stuff.
I don't get tangled up in cables here.
Uh-oh. I'm sure all the different ropes that you've got, because I've bought a couple climbing ropes before doing tree work and stuff and harness and all. Yeah, that stuff is costly right there.
That's just one rack.
There's a lot of money right there with those tie-out points.
You could be spending that on bees, Lee. What do you
Yeah,
think?
totally.
I got 4 racks there, so yeah.
Well, basically all those things right there keep him alive.
Well,
So-
that's what I told Renee. I said, yeah, I can buy some cheap ones and whatever, but do I want to fall on that cheap stuff and take a chance? No.
That's right.
If I'm going to get stuff that's supporting my life, I'm going to get the good stuff.
That's right.
I
agree with that wholeheartedly. You don't want to go to the lowest bidder when it comes to that.
So, Steve Amos, I was thinking that you were talking about beef tongue tacos, and
Yeah, I did too.
because lengua I thought is tongue, but
It is.
I'm not. I thought so, and I'm like, I'm not. My dad tricked us once when I was little into eating beef tongue, and I'm like, this is really mushy. Not a fan.
Pretty good if someone doesn't tell you what it is, because I've had it, and it's like once someone tells you, it's like, I don't think I can eat anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Well, for the
You
record,
can keep
too,
your lengua tacos.
she's not even a fan of venison. So
It's a texture thing. It's always like left a weird texture in my mouth. I've never cared for venison. Like the flavor's okay. It's just I don't know.
I've got no issue with that. If somebody's cooking it for me, I'm going to eat it. Now, the tongue, I don't know. I would try it, but I would be reluctant.
It was just too mushy.
She loves beef tongue.
You won't really notice it, Tom. If no one tells you, you're not going to notice it.
I probably would.
It is.
It just be. I'm sure preparation, just like anything, preparation is key, right? When it comes to preparing any kind of proteins, the preparation has a lot to do with if something tastes really good or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So who had all the queens? Was that Lee or was that you guys that has all those queens right now?
Oh, we have them here. Let me go get them. See if they're all still doing good.
Better be. There's a lot of queens.
Yeah, I was about to say, somebody's in trouble if they ain't doing good.
That's right.
They aren't our.
Is this another Tom purchase, Melissa?
No, it's actually for our club. It was a club. They're club queens. Yeah, they're not.
They
They're
got
not
a
ours.
few queens.
I didn't graph those. We bought them. The club's selling them. They're all spoken for.
And where did you get them from? Is Corey Stevens?
No, these are not Corey Stevens. These are mated queens. They came from Garner apiaries down in Georgia. So basically, I bought them on the Eastern Missouri's dime,
Yeah,
but it's for the club members though. That's what 100 queens looks like.
Wow.
So if you're in the chat and you're part of the EMBA and you ordered a queen, you need to come pick it up on Saturday
That's right.
morning.
Hey, Ricky, I think mine and your name was on that list too, wasn't it?
It was definitely on that list.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what. You guys drive up here. I'll give you a queen.
Look at that.
There.
So is that a Cardinalian? Is that what those are?
I
No,
think they're Italian.
These are Italians.
They look pretty dark. That's
Yeah,
why
I say she looked kind of dark, but that may have been the bottom of her too.
Yeah.
I can't tell which way she was in there.
I just heard some piping a minute ago.
Yeah, a couple of them are kind of piping a little bit. I don't remember. Let's see. A virgin queen. Somebody in the comments help me out with this if you could. Maybe even Brian might know this. Called you a club queen. Hey, Brian, she can call me whatever she wants as long as she cooks dinner. I don't offend easy, so I don't even care, man. So somebody in the comments help me out with this. Maybe Brian, even or even Steve, one of you guys probably. A virgin pipes, but a mated queen makes a different sound. Help me out with that. What is that? I can't remember now what it was. I feel like there was a slightly different sound.
makes a different toot.
Yeah, I think so. And I can't remember now what they're a different term or something.
Says they're a mix of Italian, Carney, and Buckfast.
Oh, okay. You just got 5.
Piping is the most common when there's more than one queen in a hive. So they're probably piping because there's 100 queens in there.
Toot. Okay. I'm guessing. So Brian, is that mated queen makes a toot? Help me out here, man. And then a virgin pipes.
Ooh. Piping, tooting, and quacking. Bee culture.
Yes, that was one expensive box. That's what a few $1,000s looks like right there. But I will say, when you order 100 queens at a time, you're gonna get. Well, I'm sure if you're a commercial guy and you're ordering several hundred, you'll get a better deal. But ordering 100 queens at a time will get you a pretty decent deal. I feel like anyway.
Bruce says that the workers will pipe also.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
worker piping. Previously reported hives was observed in swarms, prepared to lift off.
That's pretty cool, Bruce.
There's actually I put in there queens piping, and this article from Bee Culture from 2018 popped up. So
Hope said they got 10
give
of them.
that a quick read.
Hope said they got 10 of their queens this year, and they're rocking.
Oh, one of them making noise now.
From Gardner, good to hear.
You must have some good stuff if everybody's buying from them.
So there's one thing that I noticed on their box that they sent over I thought was pretty cool. I'll see if it'll show up here. Oh, it's going to overexpose. See the label here in black?
Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working with the Lord, not for man.
That's awesome.
Flashing 323. I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of like to see stuff like that every once in a while,
Yeah.
just to kind of and there's a lot of writing on that box, with all the different stuff about, live bees and all kinds of stuff like that written on there. You get your ventilation and all. So it's a pretty busy box, but they got that little label on there.
I like Hale's comment down there.
Yeah.
Paul,
11 queens. I didn't hear 11 going at once, but I'd hear one or two every now and again.
I've heard the queens piping in the cells, but actually Wednesday I was in a colony that swarmed out and had some cells that had actually hatched, and one of the queens that was running around in there was piping. I was pretty amazed to see her running around piping. And
Yeah.
they really weren't giving her that much attention, so I didn't know if, was she still trying to say, "Hey, I'm the one" to them? I didn't know, but there was still some cells yet to be hatched out.
We hear them piping every once in a while from the incubator when they first start to hatch out. We'll hear a little bit of that too. We try to go down and check it a couple times a day to see whenever they emerge. Because if they're not fed pretty quickly after emergence. They'll start to shrivel up pretty quickly. You at least pop a couple of attendants in there, and so you can get out and get them installed. So Brian says we've got about 45 splits going on right now. Yard's getting crowded. I'm building frames right now. So Brian, that's really funny that you mentioned that, because I think I've done 45. It's less than 50. I think it's between 45 and 50 splits now. I kind of started to lose count, but we've done basically kind of the same thing. Luckily, as far as the frames, I'm not going to build frames anymore. There's a guy that's out a couple hours from us that I've become friends with, and he's a very generous guy. Sells some really great quality wooden frames with a black foundation. That's a really heavy wax on it for a really good price. So I'm just.
What is his name again, Tom?
Oh, his name is doggone it, Daniel with Golden Bee. He's out near Sedalia. But he's a super, super nice guy, super generous. I mean, just like you, Ricky, just the most kind guy you ever meet in the world. But
it was a pleasure meeting him. And I'll be honest with you, when you meet people like that, that's the kind of people I like to buy from.
Oh, definitely.
You know he's going to treat you right. So
that's right. Yeah, 100%. You know what? It's him and his whole family. He was himself was originally from Ukraine, came here. Oh, I don't know, maybe 20 something years ago. And just a real hard worker, a family man, just a God-fearing guy that just has a big heart. I'll tell you what, I'm not an extremely tall guy, but I'm just shy of 6'1". And I don't usually have to look up to too many people, but he's one guy that I have to tilt when I'm talking to him, I have to tilt my head up and look at him. I have a couple pictures of me with standing next to him, and the guy just towers over me like, he just crushed me with one hit, right? But he's just the kindest guy you'll ever meet in the world, though. It's just really good to be able to have met, in our beekeeping adventures and journeys, so many great and wonderful people that are like in this chat right now. And, some of the most kind people you ever meet in the world, I think, are beekeepers.
So that's pretty good what Phil just said. I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that. But the other queen that's running around there is piping so that the other one's in the cells with pipes so she can locate them and kill them. Interesting.
Yeah. So how did that go this evening with you, Ricky, with cutting that out? Everything work out pretty good for you?
Yeah, it did really good. That's the first time I've actually done a log cutout, and it had a lot of smashed cone in the log that, when it had come down that compressed. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. And then you had other comb that was actually correctly oriented inside the hive. So had to piece in a lot of little pieces to get enough frames to put in the box. But when we shook that in, and Lee showed that picture earlier, when we shook that colony in, they started marching right in. So we knew we had that queen. That was the inside of it. So I was reaching one side about right here, and then I went around the other side and was doing the same thing. So
that's kind of a cool picture, the way it looks like it kind of, the log, you can kind of see it kind of, the bark, or not the bark, but the inside of the wood grain kind of running up toward the little hive. When I first seen that picture sent over, I had to zoom in on it a little bit. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay, I see what it is now.
Yeah, and you can see the bottom. Bring it back up. You can see the bottom combs were actually the ones that were kind of compressed, and they weren't really using those combs. But the comb on the left was more straight, and they were using that area a whole lot more. Yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
So
how long has that log been laying down on its side like that?
So we got the call December the 3rd. I've got a video out on it. We went and we cut this. It was in a massive log, and we cut that small section out. And the lady picked it up with a tractor, took it to her property. We didn't want to cut it out till spring, just so we made sure that colony made it. Mm-hmm. And we set it down and we sealed up both ends, and it made it through winter. So I'm pretty tickled. I can't wait to see the queen in this colony.
I got a call from a lady. I can't remember when it was. I think I want to say it was February. It was still pretty cold then. Actually, it was really cold. I think it was getting ready to snow the next day.
Mhm.
And she asked me about. She said a tree company was removing a tree. And she wanted me to come out and pick up the colony. And I said, "Well, I'm happy to do so." I said, "I can send you my fee schedule, what we charge." And she's like, she goes, "You won't just come get the bees?" And I said, "No, ma'am." And she's like, "Oh, well, I thought the people usually come get them for the bees." And I'm like, "Sometimes they do." I said, "I am not one of those guys." And you try to, I wanted to try to politely explain it, to her so that she can understand. I'm like, I said, by the time I hook up a trailer, I said, do I have to bring my own machine out to load the log? And she's like, well, if you come when the guys are here, they'll load it for you. I'm like, okay, well, now I have to try to get there at a certain time. And I said, by the time that I do that, I get it back to where I'm going, I'm going to have at least 3 to 4 hours tied up in this. And I said, I probably would decline then. I said, there may be somebody out there. I said, the problem is, I said, trying to do something in February with those bees. I said, the more they bounce and disturb them, the more likely it is that you're gonna put the nail in the coffin on those, And I said, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying the likelihood goes way down. So if you're saying the value is in the bees that are in a tree in the middle of winter, it's just not a lot of value there, unfortunately. It's just not like it's a managed colony with frames that you can kind of handle. And so anyway, I don't know what would end up happening with that, but I thought my thought was I was going to take the tree and stand it up back of the shop or something and put a cap on it and hoping that it had a hole in a certain location. If not, I was going to bore a hole into it and then let them use that. And at some point in time throughout the year, I would try to, if they survived, relocate them. But I think she may have found somebody else there that was more eager, because I even told her, I said, just leave them in your yard. Because it was actually her neighbor's tree. That's what it was. And I'm like, well, so this is not even your tree on your property? And she's like, no, I'm still skeptical. I'm like, who's paying the bill here?
Yeah. Do you even have permission to be on that property?
Yeah, exactly.
Or is somebody going to come in and complain to you? They
right.
think you're going to get them for free. And I mean, it, like you say, it depends. Some people will, and it depends on the situation, but you got time invested in it. You got equipment that you've bought, whether it be a bee vac or different tools, smokers. You got fuel costs to go do everything.
That's right.
Then you got to have a box that you've already paid for once you get back home to be able to put them in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then you don't even know about the colony, right?
Bless you.
Yeah.
So you could go get these bees that are supposed to be free, and you get them home and they abscond or they're sick or whatever. Even colonies that we've taken out of people's yards, walls.
Mm-hmm.
We had one last year that we could just tell when we were taking it out, it wasn't healthy.
I think it was an overload of mites, and then I noticed some deformed wing on one of them. And when she started framing up the comb,
everything was
there,
uncapped. It was really weird.
Yeah, when I started looking at it, pulling it out, and she was starting to frame it up, and I said, "Hey, you know what?" I said, "Stop framing that up." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "These bees, something's not right here with these bees." And I went ahead and vacuumed them up in our vac, and then she didn't frame any of it up. I said, "We can give them an extra piece of comb from something else, or if we feel like we want to give them some extra brood, we can do that." But I didn't even go that far. I gave them a piece of comb from something, and I think, and I didn't even take them back to our actual quarantine yard where there are other bees that were quarantining there. I'm not going to take an unhealthy hive and put it in a apiary with 30 other colonies that are in good shape. That would that'd be a horrible idea. But I ended up actually taking them out to my mom's house. I said, "Hey, you want me to bring some bees out? I'm going to bring you some." She's like, "Oh, okay, that's great." And then I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think these guys are really healthy." She's like, "Oh, you're bringing me unhealthy bees?" And I said, "I'm not taking them to my apiary." And then I didn't know anybody else around the area that actually kept any. And then lo and behold, it was probably like, I don't know, over the winter. This was the last year, early in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to some guy, and he's like, well, he goes, "Wait a minute." He goes, "Where did you put them?" And I said, "At such and such in a certain area." And he's like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "That's within less than a mile of my colonies." And I'm like, "Hey, man," I'm like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "I didn't know there was any managed colonies right in this area." So anyway, I said, "Well, they didn't last long. They absconded the box very quickly." So I'm like, they went off and died somewhere.
Yeah, Steve, I know you're in the flat country of North Carolina. We're up here at that 3,000 feet elevation. And so far, all the maples have bloomed out. We are now officially got the apple trees blooming. The blackberry bars will start blooming pretty soon. Our dandelions are blooming out really good right now. So the nectar sources are coming in, not like Lee's place down there, but the nectar sources are really starting to roll in. So I'm tickled to death. All the colonies are stuffing as much nectar and pollen and growing as fast as they can grow right now. I actually got in one, I think it was yesterday, and it surprised me how light the box was. They had so much brood, had very little pollen and no honey hardly whatsoever. Just a little bit of wet nectar was in that colony, and they were just trying to build up so quickly. It just blew my mind how little they had in there and how much she had laid up. So
Yeah.
it's really going to blow up here in the mountains.
I've been putting a super a week on this colony here. Every week adding a super to it, and they filling them.
So what's the red tape on the sides?
That's well, that's a cattle tag on the bottom that I mark mine
Right.
with, and then all my supers have sheep tags.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
I used to keep track of what yard, what box was in. That way, if I went to that yard, I could look at my printout and know if I got equipment missing or anything.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, very good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You should get fancy address numbers like I have.
That gets expensive.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah,
We were talking
we're
earlier.
not be spending no money. Come on.
Right here.
I was about to ask Tom, did she approve that with you?
Actually did not. Okay. So here, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. And this is not my version. This is the truth. Okay. When we had ordered like another, I think a couple years ago, another like 35 complete colonies, or I should colonies, wooden hive setups, right? And I was assembling them, putting them together. And she's like, yeah, I guess I have to go get all those numbers. I'm like, why don't we change up what we're doing? And we'll do something different. I'm like, and I suggested like a cattle tag or something with the numbers on it. She's like, no, I already started this. This is what I want to continue.
It needs
So
to match.
if we decided to branch out, Ricky, if we decided to branch out and do 10,000 hives, it's going to cost me $20,000. Okay. Because each one of these numbers run about $1.
Yeah, they're $1.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that on that kind of level. I mean, that's a lot of coin right there, right?
That's a lot of coin.
So I don't know.
You could buy another piece of equipment for that price, right, Tom?
Right. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I take that back. It wouldn't cost me that. It'd cost me more because when you get out of the double digits numbers, you go to the triple digit. And then you got the triple digit. Now you go on the 4-digit numbers. I mean, holy cow. It's going to cost more than 20 grand. Good Lord.
I'm not quite as OCD as I used to be. I still have issues, but we were talking about as far as like knowing what equipment's in what yard. I used to be able to go in. I don't know how good y'all could see this. I could tell you hive number 13 was active. If I opened that up, it's a 10 frame. I bought it from Better Bee. This is the date I bought it, what I paid for it, what yard it's in, and different information about each hive.
Nope.
Lee, you make us look like lazy people. I mean, I love that you show us this, but I feel really bad when you show us this too.
Like super number 16, OTH means it's on the hive. It's being used. It's on hive number 13 in yard number 1. What I paid, size, everything.
Holy cow. Yeah, you've got it all detailed out.
Like I said, I used to keep track of it. I don't do it quite that much anymore. Yeah, I wish I had that kind of money, Brian, but I did all that.
No, Lee pays people.
If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't be sitting in a crane every day.
I believe the crane operator makes decent money, I'd say. Yeah, that's right, Melanie.
Yeah, she says dang overachievers.
Hey, I said used to. I don't do all that no more.
No, I mean, I'm impressed. I really am.
Well,
that's really good. I mean, to be that detailed and know how your colonies are rolling, that's awesome.
Well, if you needed to go back on documentation for any reason whatsoever, he's got the lineage there and everything all the way down.
I'll show you what else I used to do. Keeping track of my honey. Down
Oh,
here.
wow.
Let's see. Down here, I'd have, well, get my mouse up to that monitor. Yard number 1, I could tell you what hive it was, how I got 8L and 8R. That was my resource hive. It's a double deep nuke,
Mhm.
4x4. So 8 on the left side and then right side.
Mhm.
Tell you how many supers on it, comb supers, how many pounds I pull, and any numbers that I put in here automatically recalculates all this for you.
Wow.
And I could go yard by yard by yard.
Mm.
And then I had a readout yards 1 through 4. And anytime I enter information on those other pages, it affects these pages. And it would show you how much honey I collected, what my average moisture contents were.
What program are you using there?
It's just an Excel sheet.
Excel spreadsheets.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
But I could tell you my average moisture, everything
Man,
per
that's,
yard or per colony.
That's awesome.
I
It
wish
got
I
to be a
was
little
that
much.
dedicated. So Lee, you had said that you have that one colony has 5 supers on. Have you decided to maybe potentially put some comb on there for doing cut comb?
Not on that one. I hadn't. I don't even know if I'm going to do cut comb this year. But if I do, generally I use shallows,
Mhm.
and then I put the cut comb foundation in them. I use the top wedge frames. That way I can pop that wedge out, slide my plastic or the wax foundation in, and then wedge it back.
Okay.
And then I would let them draw that out. And that's the only colonies that I run queen excluders on, is if I'm doing comb honey.
Yeah. I like that comment there from Steve. Oh, yes,
Maybe next time I'll upgrade.
Do you have tags for all of our birthdays too, Lee?
I got tags for a lot of people's birthday in the chat here, just not the bees. But I did have paperwork. I got, well, let's see. I don't know if you're going to see it, but I got a little file folder thing over there. I could tell you each hive, where I got it from, whether it was a swarm, or I made a split, or I bought it from the commercial apiary, what date it was I got it, the color queen, everything.
Well, that can help you understand if you have good success with swarms in your area, or maybe where you potentially might have purchased, whether it be a package or a nuke or something like that. If you had better success in those areas, that can help you understand that pretty easily.
Yep.
With all that information.
That, and then like if I made splits or whatever, whether it was a walkaway split or I used a queen cell, and if, like you say, if it done good, I would know, hey, pull some more queens off of this colony or whatever, or do some crabs or something like that.
Absolutely.
I have a hard enough time getting him just to label
Let's see.
VCRBs.
I don't know what that is. I'm not sure. Does anybody in the comments know what a VCRB is? Because
Oh my
escapes me.
I know what it is now. I've talked to Melissa enough.
See? It's a VCRB. That's it.
Maybe she's going to come up with a new line of hygienic bee called VCRBs. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means.
Queen right dial. I never heard of that before. I don't know what you're talking about.
What is this queen right now?
Never heard of it. No clue.
Yeah, so since now we're kind of under our
Charlie got
main
VCRB for me.
What?
33 mile V. Yeah.
Talking to Charlie. Yeah. No, I think she's the one that was confusing Charlie. That's what you mean. Every time she gets on there, she starts calling several different acronyms there, and they can't figure out what's what. I think she's even confused Corey Stevens at this point in time. He doesn't know what they are.
I'm gonna get a label and just put it on our little desk here that says
VSH.
Thank you.
Varroa, sensitive, hygienic.
So I say it right.
Just put a little sticker right above the phone or the laptop. That way on a live, she can see it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll tape it up there at the top of the screen.
Even when I get ready to say it right, I second guess myself. I'm like, no, that's not right.
Oh, gosh. And here, she's supposed to be the smart one of us both. You know what? I'm not really sure where we're going now. I'm not sure. So, Ricky, yeah, VCR equals VSH. That's 100% right. Ricky, are you getting a lot of calls for cutouts, swarms, and all that such in your area?
Yeah, I'm covered up with it, and I just don't have time to go to them because of trying to get these hives built. Everybody needs their hives right now for spring, so it's been pretty complicated. I love swarm calls, and I love cutout calls. And, it gets me excited. I'll be at work, and someone will say, "There's a swarm," and I tell Ruth, I'm like, "Hey, there's a swarm, and we rode together. You have to leave work with me. We got to go get these bees, you know."
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm all excited. We're hearing a lot of that up here where we're at right now.
So I said something to Mr. Ed that told him we were coming down to Slidell, and I said we'd be down there like a day or so early, or maybe on Wednesday or whatever. And I told him, I said, "Hey, would you line up a cutout so I can come help you on it?" I'm like, "We'll get up whatever time we need to go do this." I'm like, I'd want to do a cutout with you, and whatever. He said, "Yeah, we'll see what we can do." So maybe what we can do is we'll get a whole group of us over there on this cutout. I mean, can you imagine that video? How good that video would be when he put out?
Oh yeah, no doubt. That would be a lot of fun right there.
Oh my gosh, it would be a blast.
I would probably laugh so much that I would be crying most of the time.
I'm not sure if we would get a lot of work done or not, you know?
Well, we'd all be watching Mr. Ed, so.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Tell him he needs to hurry up. We're getting hungry for lunch.
Yeah, I'm sure Great Time Charlie will be right there with us, you know, telling him he needs to get stuff done.
Absolutely. He'd be telling him to use the Demarest method on that cutout.
That's right. I was surprised that Good Time Charlie. I talked to him, and he's got some horizontal hives and stuff. So I spent a lot of time talking to him when we was at the conference up there in Kentucky. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I never made it down to that end of the table when we were having dinner that evening. I was going to go down there and say hello to everybody. I didn't really know anybody down at that far side of the table. Just wanted to say hello, introduce myself. But I never made it down there, and so I never actually was able to meet Sawmill Charlie in person there. But I remember seeing him down there. I remember seeing him like, hey, I kind of recognized him, and Melissa and I were kind of talking a little bit about that. But
he was the one dancing.
He was the one dancing at
the bluegrass.
It wasn't the first Hive Life.
It was the second one.
It was the second, technically the second one, but our first. And I think most people, I know Rick, you were at the first one. I think Lee, you were there at your first, at the second one, technically, right?
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many people in the chat are going to the conference again and up in Kentucky? Is everybody going? I know I'm going to be there.
I'm going to go there just to chat with everybody.
Exactly.
33 Mile Bee, so he didn't want to talk to you either.
So, okay, yeah, Phil from 33 Mile Bees. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can picture your face right now. There he is. That's him, man. I'll tell you what, that guy put me to shame, boy. He can
get his air too.
That guy can cut right like nobody's business.
Look at that.
He's just having a good old time.
He was having a blast.
Yes, he was. He's getting down with it. Is he? I'm not sure. I haven't seen him. He's not in the chat tonight, is he?
I hadn't seen him tonight.
No, I didn't see him either. Too bad he didn't log on. There he is. Hey. Yeah, he's in here.
He was thinking behind scenes, yeah.
He's here. Didn't I? Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, rewind the live about 20 seconds now.
That's right.
You just made an appearance.
Ryan, I hope you actually get to make it, man. I really would like to see you being there, buddy.
So it's the second, third, and the fourth. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess all the vendors would have to be down there on the first to set everything up, is I guess how that would work.
Now, if the timeline's going what he had announced the second,
Mm-hmm.
We've got 258 days, 16 hours, and 29 minutes.
That guy is organized, Ricky.
He is on target today. Lee is the man.
And that will automatically
Yes.
count down every minute.
Brian, you just bring the wife with you.
Yeah.
Just bring her.
That's right. Just tell her, Brian. Just tell her that you're going to take her on a weekend trip, and you're not going to tell her where it is you're going.
Find a spa for her to
but-
go to for the weekend. You know.
There you go. See, this is coming from a lady too. Okay.
I mean, I'll be at the conference.
Right, and then, Brian, you tell her you float down the river and watch the fireworks go off, you know, and wow, that would be a way to bring in the new year.
I think Brian said that she doesn't do bee conferences anymore. She needs to start doing them now that you have the Queen Ride dial.
She
right?
can work your booth.
That's right.
See,
right.
you guys are going to
Yeah.
need more help
More
at the
help.
booth next year
Mm-hmm.
because this is just going to spread like wildfire, and she'll have to work the booth with you.
Yeah. Hey, we're already in the planning stages of our next little conference there in Eastern Missouri, in
We
February.
locked down a location.
We have officially locked down a location, so we're not
Secret, though.
gonna say too much about it, not yet. But our next step is now to start lining up the speakers and the vendors. So I've got slots open and got ideas of who we want to bring in, but we're gonna
Probably
get
not
the
that
emails
Ricky
out
Rourke
there.
guy. He's kind of a pain to deal with.
He don't show up. He's late.
He works you hard too.
I'm telling you, man.
No, I need him to come so he can sell more of my bourbon.
I was
honey.
gonna say she's bad mouthing the guy, and all he did was hand her $20 bills all day long from selling her bourbon barrel aged honey, right?
Yeah, every time Melissa or even Tom would come out, it's like, here's your money. Here's your money. Here's
I
your
just had
money.
like pockets full of $20 bills.
People were probably like,
One day.
yeah. So I mentioned Charlie. I mentioned a 2-day to somebody, and they about cut my head off. So I don't know.
It's so much work, and it's all volunteer. So it's like nobody's getting paid to put in all these hours. And I'm telling you, it was like a full-time job for about 2 months, just
Yeah.
keeping everything organized and communicating with people and stuff like that. So getting people to volunteer for, I think, 2 days would be
Kingless.
like,
That's funny. That comment is good. That one
That's
wins.
really good.
Turn your dial to kingless on those states.
I need
You
to
just
give
gave
me
me a
my
good idea.
dollars from Brian and Jason. I haven't sent them a message yet. I've got enough colonies now. I definitely need some dollars because I can't keep up with them all.
Yeah. I know we had the same amount of hours with all those splits and such. We had to go back through them and start checking them. And the ones that are mated now move them out of the 5-framers into the 8-frame stuff.
Hey, Ricky, you seen who just come in the comments there, huh?
Oh, we got Dawson here. Yeah,
Dawson in.
Dawson will come and help us again, but he probably didn't have a good time with us. So
He tolerated us, huh?
he did tolerate us a little bit. Yeah.
Jason can't pimp alone.
These comments are on fire.
No doubt. Good night, Lisa. We appreciate you being on all night.
Hey, I agree that the honeybee compound, yeah, Melissa, with all the prep. The second day is a fun day. We had fun all the days, honestly. I mean, it was busy as all get out. I was up early, back to bed late, but I had a great time.
I had a good time too. It was a really good little conference, and it was kind of a nice adjustment from the bee expo because you could really just sit there and enjoy talking to people. Now you guys were working, but I got to enjoy talking to people.
I know. I felt like I was like a chicken with my head cut off, running around, keeping him because somebody doesn't like to talk to anybody, right? So I felt like I was, because he was supposed to introduce the next speakers all the time, right? So I felt like I was like trying to keep him on task.
No,
like,
she was not.
pulling him away from
No.
people, like mid conversation. I'm like, come now.
Now that is not true. And Ricky, you know this for a fact. How many times I go over and start talking to John Hill about what I was looking to get from him, and I look at my my phone and I'd be like, hey, I've got 10 minutes and then I have to get back in there, to close it out and introduce the next speaker and such. And I stayed on task and on time the entire day. The entire day. All she wanted to do was boss me around, so she felt busy and then accomplished. That's what it was in her own head. That's what it was.
I'm glad our ancestors put in the Fifth Amendment, because I'm going to plead that right now.
Hey, I need some backup here, brother.
No, it was a good time though. I think everybody had a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, we're going to be able to get a few more people in there into our conference here this year. It looks like we can get 400. That's going to be our cap. So, but the place will accommodate it well. It's got a great hotel attached to it. That's literally just been renovated, the entire space. I mean, it's pretty nice. It'll be a lot more accommodated in several different ways this year than what it was last year. Even though last year I felt like there wasn't anything bad. The bathroom thing we had a few minor hiccups with a couple things,
mostly to do with space constraints.
Space, a little bit of the audio, had minor adjustments. The bathroom situation wasn't the best, but we've crossed all those T's and double dotted those I's. So we'll be in good shape here. So
you get some good speakers like Jose to come now. That would probably bring some more people, because
we've got some ideas. I haven't started reaching out to anybody yet because I was waiting to confirm the actual space to sign the contract, so that we could, at that point in time,
fire drills.
We can then say, okay, this is my next step is to line up the speakers and also work on the vendors and stuff too. This is the dates that we've got. This is what we're looking at. Trying to get all those fine details all nailed up. So. Stream team, Brian at Castle Hive. Yeah, we'll have to talk, Brian.
Well, you did have one of them there. You're probably the most important of the group, right, Tom?
I'm keeping my mouth shut now. Okay, they're all important, right?
They are. That's a great group of guys right there. No doubt.
It definitely is. Yeah. I'm just curious if anybody in the comments that would be coming to the hour thing or whatever, what speakers would you guys want to see? I'm just curious. Just if somebody has an idea of something, throw the name in there. I'm just curious, and tell me what vendors you'd want to see. And Ricky, I don't like you anymore.
You said that.
Brian, you should have known that was coming, Ricky.
Yeah, I stepped into that one,
Hey, Brian, watch out now, though. Ricky has a touchy finger over there. He likes to ban people out of the comments.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
I will tell you the date is going to be February the 8th, which is Saturday. And then we have a banquet dinner the night before. So February the 7th is the banquet dinner. And there's you have to buy tickets for that. And then February 8th will be the workshop.
Yeah, if you can get Jose or Gus Mitchell, both of those guys would be great.
That's a good one.
So
he hasn't made many videos lately.
Yeah, I guess
I
Gus
haven't heard much from Gus lately.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, hopefully all's well with him. Maybe he's focusing more on his business right now and not as much on the videos. Hard to say. I'm sure that takes a lot of time out. It's a good night.
Oh, goodness gracious. Bless you.
sorry.
I can have Isaac come out and blow his nose again and do trumpet noises in the
That's
background
right.
like last week. Oh,
There he is. He's in the background
I can
now.
hear him from his bedroom.
We talked about maybe doing
Yeah.
a little small little like honey show or a honey tasting where people can vote on honeys, bring their own honey in, and kind of do an award or some type of a
Mini honey show.
like a little mini honey show at our thing too.
Right.
Just another something to keep us even busier, but also bring another little element of fun to it. You know.
You might be able to get, somebody like Lee that knows some stuff about technology, to talk about stuff. So he might be.
Who?
JB, that
I wouldn't know nothing about that.
personal hive is sitting in our garage still.
Hey, Lee's already going to be coming up for that. He just doesn't know it yet.
I'll see.
We just haven't told him he's coming up yet.
Yeah.
If I could get more time off, I'm already taking off 2 weeks, October and January.
Hey, you can just tell your boss you'll see him in a couple days. You know,
Set him straight again, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Set him straight. Let him know who his real boss is.
And we're gonna have another beekeeper coming soon.
Sounds like
Yep.
it. Yeah.
That's right. Wow. That's awesome, Jose. No, Rodney, I didn't get to see your swarm today. I was actually doing a cutout myself, brother, and I didn't get to really get on YouTube that much. That's awesome, Jose. I tell you, do you know if it's going to be a boy or girl yet, or you may not know already, but.
So what's everybody's got?
Drone.
What does everybody got planned here for this next week as far as their bee colonies? It sounds like everybody from about the Midwest down south is hitting a pretty good flow right now.
I'm just gonna keep throwing super zone. I still don't know if I'm off of work this weekend or not. I'll probably find out tomorrow if I work Saturday. Find out Saturday if I work Sunday. But other than that, if I am off, I need to try to get to the other yards and get some bees moved back to the home yard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing we need to do. We need to move some bees out of our home yard.
Yeah.
I split every colony that I have right now, so I'm just going to kind of let them build up. Anything that builds up quickly, I'll try to get some honey off of them. So that's my idea.
Have you started to super yet, Ricky?
I could have. There's no doubt that some of the colonies could have been supered up, but I'm just trying to get to that number 100 mark for every colonies here. So
okay.
Yeah, I'd rather just build stock right now for the most part.
Yeah, I got you.
I was getting ready to add those that jar comb inner cover onto the horizontal hives today, and then I realized I have no 10 frame queen excluders because I guess we weren't thinking, and we were getting rid of all of our 10 frame equipment that we had, and I think they got sold.
Well, some of the stuff I had a couple buddies that were needing them. I said, just take them. If you have use for them, you keep them. So
tomorrow I'm going to go out and get a few, while we're out running errands, buy a few 10 frame Kleenex leaders.
I didn't approve this message.
Didn't approve that message.
No, she's not.
I like that comment from Bee Disasters right there.
Yeah.
If you got a certain plan, that's usually what's going to happen because bees are going to change your plan for you.
100%.
Hey, if he's setting the bar low, it can only be up from there, right? Anything that happens is going to be an added benefit.
That drives me nuts when you have a job that you specifically need to do in the bee yard, right? And you get all the equipment, you get everything together, and it's not like a home yard. It's a yard you have to drive to. And you get there to do all this, and then the bees have decided you need to do something completely different, and none of this equipment that you brought with you is what you need to do this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's one of the other reasons I'm trying to move a bunch of my stuff back to the home yard, because the way my work schedule is, by the time I get off, I don't have time to visit 4 different locations. And if I did load stuff up the day before to stop by one of the yards, like you said, when you get there, you're going to end up needing something different than what you planned.
Yeah. Like
so if I got on here at home, I can just walk out there, find what I need, and throw it on.
Like, for example, today, I took Isaac, one of our boys, out with me. I was throwing supers, Kleenex excluders and supers on hives. So all I had on my truck is Kleenex excluders and supers. I had a couple of nuke boxes. I had one 8-frame, a bottom board, and a lid. And we get out to this one yard. We're getting our jackets on and everything. I'm like, man, the bees are really loud. Like, there's 30 hives in that yard, right? So there's bees everywhere. I'm like, they're really loud though. And I turn around, and there's a swarm right above. You can't tell which hive they've come out of because they're all in the air at this point. So we're just standing there kind of watching them, and they land in this cedar tree. And Isaac looks at them, and I'm looking at him like, well, I didn't bring a ladder because I wasn't planning on catching any swarms. I don't have a catch bucket with me. I'm like, well, I guess they're just going to stay there because they were, what, 15, 10, 12, 15 feet up. Like, there's no way we could have got them.
Just bring you a chainsaw next time. Take the whole tree
Well,
down.
I got home or back to the shop where we store all of our equipment. And Tom was there, and I was telling him, like, yeah, the swarm out at this yard, and that yard is what, 15 minutes away, 15, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I guess let's get the stuff and go out and get it. So we did. We drove all the way back out there and got it. And that's the video. I think I sent you a video or a picture of it. I can't remember early.
The swarm.
Yeah.
Let me get the right folder up.
That's right. If I don't see him, it didn't happen. At that point, I was like, oh.
We broke those colonies down pretty hard, too.
This was the residual that had collected back on the branch from our own yard.
Can y'all hear that?
I don't say much.
I don't remember if I shared the sound whenever I opened that window.
Yeah.
I think
can
I
hear
just
it.
had our first swarm this year from our own yard. Nothing important.
That's pretty cool. I love seeing that.
I would say there was probably a good solid 3.5, maybe 4 pounds of bees there.
They were pretty docile too. Like, they weren't bumping into me. They weren't, going after my camera or my phone or anything. They was doing their thing.
That's a full box.
It
Oh,
was.
yeah. Is that 8-frame, Melissa?
Yeah, we do 8-frame. Mm-hmm. See my number? Number 5.
That number 5 cost us $1. It's $1. It's the most expensive number we ever bought. Oh, look, you can almost see that huge dent that's in my door right there that got put in there today.
You're not supposed to tell anybody about that.
There's a huge dent that got put in that door today.
Uh-oh.
Wow,
I can't say much there because whenever I backed my vehicle up at work yesterday, get that swarm out, right next to the Connex, they had a T-post sticking out the ground.
Oh, no.
So as I was backing up, I'm watching the Connex, and I feel a little bump. I mean, I was backing up slow, but as soon as I felt that bump, I hit the brake, put it back in drive, and pulled forward a foot. That T-post, as I was coming back, just caught the corner of my back bumper. So, and with it being plastic bumper, it's got green on my blue car now. But it happens.
So
Yeah.
I was driving. I hate this yard. I don't like this yard. So I was driving into this one yard that we have, and it has 2 of those
Gates.
gates. Oh my gosh. Like the cattle gates, though. That's what it was. And we never opened the one side. We always only opened the left side. And so I was going to pull through, and I was getting too close to the one side. So I stopped to kind of back up. And when I did, they have one of those concrete blocks that holds the gates in place or whatever. And I guess my tire must have hit that block, and it bumped that other side of the gate right into his back door of his truck.
So it looks like
I have a feeling that you probably deserve a new vehicle after that.
I was just getting ready to say that. Looks like I get a new truck.
That was already in the plans for this year. That work truck was actually going to move to be a B truck specific,
Yeah.
and he was going to get a new work truck. So
It's a work truck. I'm not completely, it is what it is. I didn't like the fact that she was smiling when she told me that kind of, but
That's funny.
I thought maybe I'll take her nice shiny car and go run it down the side of a gate, and then that way we can match, But then that means I just have to pay for both.
That's right.
Yeah, Steve says, Tom, you're gonna be moving that yard. No, I actually like that yard. That yard's a really good yard. And funny thing is, we've had it since last spring, and That's the first time that truck has hit that gate. But actually, I think that was the first time that I haven't been the one driving down in there.
I've gone to that yard myself before. I probably opened the other side
Yeah.
though when I went.
Well, Steve said you can use those numbers to fill it in. What you do, you buy number 1 and put on there now. Next time you put another number 2.
Yeah, good idea.
Hmm.
I'll just put a little sticker that says "ouch," right? That way it can,
Maybe I can just do some like propolis trapping and use propolis to fill it in.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't know if JB was in the comment section earlier, but I know he's in our area there. But he said something about he's picking up queens on Saturday. I said, yeah. I said, did you buy them through the EMBA? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I have them sitting right next to me. So one of those 5 right
Which
there.
one would you like? We'll put your name on it tonight.
That's right.
They'll put one of those big numbers on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me get some numbers I have available downstairs.
I'll
He
go out
wants
there.
the biggest, fattest queens you can find.
I'm going to go out there and rip some numbers off of her car, and I'll put them on there for you. Yeah, we've already watered them once. We'll water them again tomorrow morning. Water them again tomorrow evening. Make sure that they stay nice and healthy, rear and ready to go for you to put them in your hives this weekend.
B17.
B17.
It's funny.
Yeah. So we have a busy weekend. I actually
Dear
I'm
socks
planning
have
on
numbers.
no,
But you know what? So my work socks that when I go out in the bee yard, I wear just the regular white work socks that everybody wears probably. But mine kept disappearing because I think my boys kept taking them when they would work with Tom. So I started writing M's on all the bottom of my socks. So my socks are initialed.
I know socks is off subject from bees, but just to let you know, if you're using them for work socks and everything, check out darntough.com. They got good socks. Now you're going to pay 18, depending on what you wear, whether it's ankle socks or crew, $18 to $22 for one pair. Lifetime warranty. You wear a hole in it, you mail it back to them, they send you a brand new pair.
Really?
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, lifetime guarantee.
My problem is I lose one of those socks, Lee. So how do I fix that?
If you lose one, you out of luck there. You have to send them back. You have to send both of them back.
You got to cut one of your feet off. Yeah, it looks like they even have what they call tactical socks too.
Yeah, they got on cushion, uncushioned, and everything from no show all the way up to high rise.
Yeah,
And
they're not cheap.
they're good wool. You don't sweat as bad in them either.
So here's my question: do the bees have any issue with them?
Being wool.
I
Yeah.
wear pants every time, and mine are covered up with steel toe boots. So,
Well, I'm glad you wear pants.
well, I ain't gonna do like Ryan and Hive and go out there in shorts. I think Ricky wore shorts last time he was here and we worked bees.
Yeah, sure did. Yep.
He had a jacket on, but he had a bee jacket and all, but he was in shorts.
That's probably, I don't
Yes,
do that very often, but it was so hot down there, I did not to do the shorts.
You coming up there from your area to here, even in March, you can feel that
Yeah.
extreme difference in temperature.
Yeah, I can't take it. If it's gradually building up, it's not so bad. But like when I go down where you guys are at, and that humidity's high, I can't stand it.
Lee, 33 Mile Bees wants to know you have your socks inventoried, right?
Nope, it saves it in the website for you.
Oh.
That way, if you return them, you just click on that pair and say return, and it prints you out a ticket.
Working in boxers.
Yep, that's exactly right. It was funny that I didn't get stung, but Ruth got, took 2 to the head and
Yeah.
ended up in the ER. So it's crazy.
Well, I guess we were kind of bad though. We both had bee suits on. We didn't give her one.
That's true.
She was standing out in front of the hive videoing us.
Yeah, she was.
She's one tough cookie.
I don't think I'd wear my boxers out there. I want just a little bit of protection. So,
You know, I don't ever have to worry about bees. Don't ever try to sting me below my waist. I literally almost never ever take a sting down below my waist.
Most of my stings are in my thighs. It's very annoying.
I got stung a couple of times on the ankles because of some bees falling on the ground. They crawl up and then kind of get between your socks and your pants legs, and then they get you that way. So
That's why generally when I go out there, I got blue jeans on and my boots, and my pants are pulled down over the boots.
yep.
Which to me, I mean, I'm just so used to wearing pants at work all the time, so it don't matter if it's in the middle of the summer. I still got pants on.
They still sometimes crawl up my pant legs though, and I'll like rubber band my pant legs to my boots a lot of times.
I'll try that next time, Rodney, and see how it turns out.
Baseball bat.
Poor Ruth.
Oh, man.
I'm glad she's not on here tonight because I'd be in so much trouble. You guys have no idea.
Hey, no, I have an idea. Mine's Hispanic too.
Yeah. And Phil, you talk about that plumber's crack. The video you'll see, they actually lay a sweatshirt across my back because I had some of that going on, and they're like, "Here, let me help you out while you're laying on the ground." So.
So JB said he collected a swarm last week and got his ankles lit up. I have never, knocking on wood, I have never been stung by a swarm, with the exception of when I would grab a hold of a frame and smash a bee and get stung in the finger. Everyone that I've ever dealt with were always really docile. And the only reason today I even had on my bee jacket was because my truck was sitting 15 feet in front of 25 colonies of my own bees, and I didn't want blocking their flight path. I didn't want to get lit up from them. Otherwise, I usually do it without anything on, and I've never gotten any negative. I'm not saying that you can't, but never gotten any negative reactions.
See, here's my thing about being a woman beekeeper is
yeah, I've never seen Dennis outside of pants. And then he usually wears that long sleeve that's kind of that lighter material, that moisture wicking, I guess it'd be kind of like, right?
So here's my issue with being probably a woman in beekeeping, but in any like construction or that type of industry, is the work pants are like, you guys' work pants are not like stuck to your skin. Like they're a little bit baggy or loose fitting. Women's work pants still like are stuck to our thighs, or that they're still skin tight in areas. So so like if the bees try stinging you in your thighs, you're probably not getting stung because your pants are loose, right? Where ours, they're right against our thighs. Like I'm constantly getting stung in my thighs.
Mine are kind of loose, but I did take one in the upper thigh earlier today, almost at the hip.
Well, I think there's an easy explanation for that. There isn't a guy out there in the construction field that wants to see another guy with tight pants on. Not going to happen. I mean, it is not in the cards. It is in the construction field, not it.
So what if somebody come up with something like Carhartts, but it's for beekeepers? A pair of jeans. Now,
I mean, I have Carhartts, I have dungarees, and they still are able to sting through them.
Yeah, but what if somebody come up with some beekeeping pants like Carhartts? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that would work.
Yep.
Well, I have some Carhartt pants that have the double knee, and they kind of start at the upper thigh and go down past the knee. Kind of like for that. It gives it that extra layer for extra durability.
Those are so heavy though, because I have a pair of those, and I just felt like I was pulling them up all day because there's that extra layer of material is so heavy.
Skinny suits, skinny jeans, and a work belt.
I'd like them to come up with a bee suit that the bee suit would, if you don't want to wear pants, right, or the bee pants with them, they will actually have a strap that will hook down to the bottom of your pockets, so that when you bend over, your bee suit doesn't come open right, especially when you're doing cutouts and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You get stung in the lower back sometimes because of that.
Well, it depends on what I was doing. There was a cutout I had to do that was in this downstairs room, and I had to work above my head, and they had shelving units that were kind of built into the wall. So I kind of had to reach over the shelving units to get up into the ceiling portion where the bees were at. And finally, I just determined that there was only maybe a few feet space between the top of the shelf and the bottom of the top of the shelf and then the ceiling itself. So I actually, after I cut the hole, I actually went up there and just laid down on top of the shelf when I was vacuuming bees and cutting it. Now,
He was taking a nap.
my face got, drips on and stuff like that, which the honey tasted really good. But a couple times when some bees drop and I'd roll over on them, I'd take a couple stings in the lower back. But other than that, it was fine. Yeah, the tall sizes.
22 stings.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, that one time, that angry hive, that's probably the most stings I took at one time, but I don't remember. I don't remember how many stings I took. It was pretty many though.
It was like 3.
It was not 3.
Three's nonsense.
Three's
No, it was more like 15. You remember, Tom? Come on.
Yeah.
I think Tom's about to get stung.
Yes. He's about to get backhanded. Everybody turn away.
Yeah, if you do it on a live chat, I've got.
Just blank your screen out, Melissa, before you do it.
Just let me know and I'll drop your video down
right,
for a second. When you come back, it'll be just you sitting there.
Thanks.
You're supposed to be on my side, Lee.
Well, who's the better cook?
But who doesn't like to cook?
I don't mind cooking.
If I'm in danger tumbling 3 times, what if I keep blinking? Does that mean danger close, danger close? Yeah, that's for sure.
We'll send the cops right out there, Tom, if you need them.
Nah, that's all right. I can handle it. I'm always glutton for punishment. Took 101 day. Yeah, that's a lot of
I
stings.
think that's when he was trying to extract some bees out from under a trailer or something, I believe. And
I tell
they
you what,
let
the
him
day
up
that
pretty
I
good.
went down there to get some queens from him, he got some queens from Jose. And I went down there and he had a bright red shirt on, just like Tom's right there. And they were lighting him up. I mean, he was getting hammered. And he was taking them. And we sat there and we was talking, and they said, he goes, "Oh, what got me in the titty?" And he's like, "Oh, man, that hurts. Oh." He was dying.
A lot of nerve endings there, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think Steve said the dirt rooster took over 100 stings that one video. I think
that.
I seen that video.
Yeah.
I remember that video. He seems to take them like a trooper. Some guys, when they take stings on the video, you don't even see them wince. You see them look down like this. You see them kind of
Bob Benny.
They'll kind of pull a stinger out of their hand or whatever, and they don't even wince.
It's like the first sting or two, yeah, it makes me jump, and you kind of say a few words. Sometimes you got to bleep out, but after so many, after a while, you're just like, okay, get off.
I'm like, knock it
And
off.
you're fine.
I usually groan like, ugh.
Yeah.
The other day though, I got one like right on the top of my knee, and it must like hit a nerve or something. It hurt so bad. I think I yelled or something.
Yeah, she let out a yell, and I told her to knock it off. She's in the bee yard. She's gonna get stung, and I'm like, you don't even do all that nonsense.
I'm like, that one really hurt. Like they don't usually like hurt like that. That one hurt.
Well, I got one a couple years ago. I was picking up a frame, and it caught me right on the fingertip, and I had it on video. I think it's one of my shorts, or maybe on a regular video. Anyway, I'm holding it, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, fingertip, I know this is gonna hurt. And I'm looking, I don't feel nothing. I'm like, well, let me set the frame down. I set it down. I'm looking at her, and she's sitting there spinning circles on my fingertip. As soon as I get her off and I go to do like that, when I go to shake my hand, the pain response hit.
No
It hurt.
kidding. It took that long, huh?
It took that long.
That's interesting.
And then when they just keep like burning,
Yeah. So Melanie says Dennis took over 100 stings one time when his veil came apart while that was going on. It was really bad. I can imagine the last thing you want to take. I'll take 100 stings below the neck. 100 stings above the neck. That's like 10 times worse. And you know what's funny is when a colony is mad, they will find if you didn't zip that veil up 100%, or you had a little opening or a hole, or your veil screen had a little cut or slit in it, they will find that every time. Bees actually found a little crack or slit that I had in one of my other veils one time, and they knew it was there before I knew it was there, and so I couldn't figure out how they were getting in. But that's no fun. It was done with the berries. Well, Phil, I'd never had that happen, so
Me either. I don't want to.
That's why you don't be keeping your boxers.
that's right. Put pants on, Phil.
That's right.
Michael Bush.
Well, at least this chat was interesting tonight when it comes to where you got stung, how you got stung, and all the good things in between.
It's been very interesting to know. There's no doubt about that. So,
That's right.
yeah. So maybe we should call it where we're at tonight. And I do want to say thank you to Melissa and Tom for running the chat tonight. And of course, Lee always, he's the man. So appreciate you guys doing that. And, appreciate everybody in the chat that stayed with us this long. It's been a long night for me. So anyway, we want to say God bless, and we'll see you till next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good one.